What I can see right now is that we are in to Champ Select here for the first time today.
Yes,
It is
sir.
best of 3, so let's see how this one is going to shake out. C9 have chosen last pick. Disguised have chosen blue side. It's Akali, Poppy, and Ezreal banned out by DSG. C9 getting rid of the Jace, the Ziggs, and the Nocturne for themselves.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if, with this Vi coming through, we just see DSG play a dive comp, go towards Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa is becoming very, very meta, and I do feel like it is Sejed's best champ, but that being said, it is not great in the 2v2, so maybe they would be afraid to early pick it, and instead looks like they are going to be going towards Lucian Melio.
Okay.
And now we get to see what C9 wants to do. Because, of course, we can't have full parity in the draft because we have both junglers, and then we have bot lane there for DSG. So does C9 want to try to match one of those roles, or are they just going to kind of accept it and go top lane? Because you can just go top lane on 3 and then have protection bans as well. And so that's the option. So now, obviously, we're expecting C9 to throw protection bans, probably for top, potentially for mid as well. I feel like Surdy definitely can play some of these, range top laners that could be a little bit difficult for the Gnar. And for DSG, we're expecting them to ban out some of the bot lane duos.
And even when Surdy was originally making his climb, I believe it was last year, up to rank 1 by a mile above everybody else, part of that climb is when you're always the highest ranked player on the ladder, you're going to be on red side practically every game. He was a guy who was known to counterpick. He would play range tops. It was part of his ladder climb. It's part of what got him to this point. So I definitely see him as someone who's willing to play those different types of styles. So the Vayne banned away like you're talking about here, keeping that one out of Surdy's hands. Victor banned out by DSG. Considering Ziggs was already banned in the first half, that's 2 of those prominent bot lane mages out of the picture.
Exactly. So wanting to keep Tactical off of those for now. Lock is still up and available, so I wouldn't be surprised if that got banned. If you're thinking about other top lane bans, though, we could be thinking about things like the Tristana. We've even seen Corki getting pretty popular and is kind of a multi-role ban, but it is instead going to be Lock. Makes sense. This champion is almost always being banned these days, even with some of the nerfs coming through.
Yep, and it was Thanatos last weekend that played that Corki top lane. Had a good performance on it individually. Sadly, took the Realm Warp straight to hell at 200 miles per hour at the end of the game that sealed their fate.
His only fault was too much faith in the team.
Yup,
you know?
Sometimes you got to say, no, you are my friend, but I don't trust you right now. Hanging out with Raz teaches one that.
It does, exactly.
That's what it all comes down to. We've got the Xayah as that final ban here in the draft from DSG, though, as C9. We've still got to see what they want for this bottom lane 2v2 against Lucian and Melio, and it'll be Cassio bottom,
Yeah, of course, there is a slight possibility that you could do something weird with Orianna going bot, but it's pretty much only going to be Cassio being played bot out of these champs these days, so that is definitely the expectation. Olaf going to be insta-slam down, which is quite nice when you're thinking about, pretty CC reliant champions, Petrifying Gaze, the Gnar CC, the Shockwave, and if Nautilus comes through, Nautilus can be ignored as well. That being said, you can spend the Cataclysm, just lock that guy in there and force him to flash.
Put him in jail. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like, sometimes people will play that style. If the Olaf gets fed enough, that kind of becomes your job as Jarvan is. You just ult this guy and then you flag and drag out and you make him spend his flash or he loses his ult, right?
Yep.
And so that is kind of that line that you are going to be walking. Surdy going to be, of course, playing that top because we already have the Vi. So Surdy does find his answer. And it'll be interesting to see how this works out. We've seen Olaf obviously come out, more lately. It was even being played some at MSI into champions like Jace. And so I'm curious to see how he can perform here against Thanatos on the Gnar. That is absolute comfort. And I do feel like it can get difficult, once Thanatos even just gets towards early steel caps, which we're expecting him to rush. It's tough because this is a champion that is pretty evasive, has a lot of move speed with the hyper proc, and even more if he is going to be playing fleet. And Olaf needs to get on you to be able to actually force something. Of course, you can look for multi-man plays with Vi coming in. If you catch him in mini, Vi ult comes in, Ragnarok gets popped, you are probably cooked. So we're going to have to see how the 2 teams can play around that.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking. That jungler involvement could be huge, but also, whenever I see a bottom lane that has Lucian Melio, I see a lane that wants to play for that early dominance. You manage to take control of the bot lane early, put pressure on the enemy turret, and then as soon as you get to the mid game, once Lucian has one fully completed item, you just become that absolute point of pressure in mid lane. So Kryra's also going to be incentivized to visit there. I'll be very curious to track throughout this early game specifically where Kryra decides to invest his time and resources, since both side lanes would certainly like the attention. But I also really like this Vi Galio 1-2 punch. Vi ults in. As soon as you see the line drawn from his ulti onto the target, Galio knows you'll be able to time the heroic entrance to slam down right on top of the target after the Vi ult has ended. So you've got that nice setup to make it so Olaf can at least start to run towards those targets and apply that pressure in the big fights.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. And a lot of times when you have Cassio, you're talking about, wow, it's really hard to follow up onto Cassio. You know, if you try to play a dive comp into Cassio, oh, there's Miasma, and there's Petrifying Gaze, and there's all these tools, but Vi presses are unstoppable. Galio is ulting in from half a map away, and Olaf presses are as well. So good luck. You're going to have to, you know, just be able to actually kind of live through it straight up. Things like Zhonya's become very, very important later on.
Oh, yeah.
That is always one of the things I talk about when we have one team playing dive and you're playing against a multiple mage comp, because they can so effectively build these defensive items, right? You know, once you have Zhonya's on Tactical and Loki, all right, well, who does Vipress R on at that point, right? And that obviously is a couple items down the road, but it is something that DSG have to keep in mind, and it's going to force them to continue pressing the pace of the game.
It's one of those things where, yeah, I guess you hope that you get a chance at mini-Gnar, but if Thanatos is properly managing his rage and the team is playing around that like they should, he's not showing up to the team fight as mini-Gnar.
Exactly, and I mean, even if he is, if you're full sending it onto a Gnar with a Cassio and an Ori untouched behind him, it's probably not going to be a good fight. Yeah. You can see number 9 all-time in games played now as Sven is sitting out. Maybe it's some sabotage there from Vulcan.
Yeah.
Had himself out so he can move up the top 10 in games played.
On the leaderboard.
Moving up to the coveted number 9 spot in games played.
Even once you make it to the pro stage, even once you make it to the LCS, Isaac, you never stop climbing the ladder. You're just playing a different game. That's what it's all about. True. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and this dog is hungry.
Yeah, Vulcan, he lied to me already. You know, I was chatting with him earlier. He said he was going to be playing Enchanters. He said they were going to extend the games, go to 3. I was like, oh, Soraka looking good this week, you know, Enchanters? He's like, yeah, got to go for the assist record, you know, as he is now second all-time, and that would be cool for him to get. As Call Me taking some damage here, and this is the dog tier list. If you missed out on the inception of this on the dive, we have been talking about this. You know, what size of dog correlates to the different tier of teams.
we got 4 dogs.
Yeah, we got some big dogs, we got some medium dogs, and then a little derpy chihuahua down at the bottom.
Okay.
But those things got some pointy teeth, Flowers.
Yeah.
So you got to watch out. So far, they're not looking that threatening, but a little chihuahua grabs onto your arm and won't let go.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, not so funny.
All of a sudden, you're not having a great time. We'll see if Disguised's bite can
be bigger than their bark.
Outweigh their bark, exactly. Because right now, the little Chihuahua bark has not been too scary in the opening couple of weeks. Disguised at 0-2. C9, one of the teams, they're not the big woo-woo-woo dog, but they can still bark pretty well.
And they're trying to be.
Yeah. They chase the, instead of the ice cream truck going down the road, it's a realm warp that they'll start running at sometimes. You don't want that. You need the dog to come back to the yard.
Yeah.
But
the coach has got to keep them chained up sometimes.
Yeah,
you know?
you got to put your dog on a leash, please.
Yeah.
All right. Disguised versus
Ridiculous.
C9, though, a pretty uneventful early game here in the first 4 minutes. You can see both junglers just having pretty similar clear paths. One crab for one crab. No particular lane dominance in any specific matchup for either one of the teams. I am excited to see where these junglers decide to start getting involved in. I already talked earlier about how I think both side lanes for Disguised would love the extra attention. But in a competition of Vi versus Jarvan, both of these are super capable early gankers as well as having big level 6 power spots.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. I mean, they can have a huge effect on these lanes. And Thanatos is actually going Swifties, so it makes a lot of sense here, you know, when you are thinking about it being so dependent upon just being able to actually kite out this Olaf when he's looking for the all-ins. But we got a question to ask. What year is it? Because Dardoch versus Armeo is tomorrow in the LCS. This is a crazy throwback for some of the old school LCS fans. It is wild to see Dardoch coming in with, I think, a lot of hope because he's been doing really well in Tier 2.
Yeah, that could be a very, very spicy matchup tomorrow for Dignitas going up against Lion with the new jungler. But right now, this game has been anything but spice. Just very calm, collected play early on. Nobody doing anything wacky, trying to find themselves an extra early edge. The first Drake has spawned, and since it's a Chem Drake, that's generally going to lower the priority on it because nobody really finds the bonuses from that particular
Chihuahua dragon.
Yeah, he's a Chihuahua Drake. That's a good way to put it. A green Chihuahua Drake. He needs to go to the veterinarian. He's not doing very well.
He's got a disease. No one really wants to get over there.
Yeah, he needs a little bit of help.
Threatening, but you might get rabies.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
No, we don't want that. We certainly don't need our junglers catching rabies from the Chihuahua Kimtech Dragon. But we've got almost level, well, we do have the level 6s available for our solo lanes, but level 5 just now being crested in the bottom side as Vulcan and Tactical are going to rotate over to Blabber here, taking this first Drake. Call Me and Kryra are in the area, but as Loki rotates down, throws out the ball, flash forced by the dredge line of the Vulcan, but Call Me's coming in, going for the taunt flash. It's Vulcan getting locked up first as Blabber re-enters the fight. First blood back over to Tactical as C9 are out fighting him. Tactical exhausted though, so Jed looking for a little bit more opportunity to free fire. Vulcan down to 150 HP. Blabber's going to drop, but so will Kryra. Junglers traded 1-for-1. C9 2-for-1 overall. So Jed going back in, looking to find the kill on Tactical, but he won't quite get it. So Jed dies, but so does Loki. It's another 1-for-1 trade as Vulcan goes back in after Lions, who's trying to find the kill on a Tactical, and Lions gets it. Vulcan goes in for the flash auto attack. Won't quite get enough damage, but he burns down to Tactical. It is 7 dead bodies in the river. It's like a mob movie, Isaac. What a bloodbath.
God, man. And I got to give a lot of credit to Sajed because I thought that fight was going to go horrible for DSG. When we see Call Me flashing in there in the Pagoda moment, I did not think this was going to work out. The early flash forced there by Vulcan, and then Call Me says, you know what? We're just going to go for it. Flashes in, gets a 2-man taunt, but then the shockwave comes across, the miasma across multiple members. I thought this was going to go really poorly for DSG, but Sajed on the side was getting so much work done, playing really confidently in the face of Vulcan and Tactical, pumping out damage nonstop, flashes in, kills off Blabber, pushes out Vulcan, then turns his eyes onto Tactical, gets his flash, then is able to get the flash off Loki as well, kills him off, and has Tactical low enough that the final auto attack here from Lions kills him. And then this is the kind of calculations that can only be done if you're number 9 all-time in games played in the LCS.
Oh, yeah.
Knows the poison from Cassio will finish him off. So Vulcan, with the assist to the dead Cassio, gets his AP carry a kill.
And you can't even say that he was playing selfishly. He hands it to his teammate. Beautifully done.
He's benevolent and generous.
Beautifully done. But here's a look. This is disguised in the 2 weeks that they've played so far. This is their game 1 trajectory specifically, because in both game 1s, the team has managed to find significant leads. They just haven't converted them to wins.
They too are generous and benevolent.
Oh, God bless it. That's not. I didn't know what you were going to say, but I saw that you had that flop-eating grin on your face, and I knew it was going to be something like that. I knew it was going to be something like that.
I mean, they've created some big leads. They've also donated those leads very generously to their opponents a couple times, but
that's also creating a big lead, just in the other direction.
There you go. They created one lead, then they created another. Double the lead. Unfortunately, it hasn't resulted in any game wins for them just yet. Second last right now, you know, every team besides DSG has at least 2 game wins. DSG has not gotten a game win yet. Because unfortunately for them, both their series, game 1, really close, really competitive, and nameplates off, you would think that they would win, you know, in both of those spots.
Yeah.
But then, unfortunately, from there, they got obliterated in game 2 both times around. So DSG has shown us that they can get themselves in spots to be competitive, to have a shot to win. But then I think some of their inexperience and some of their, you know, team issues, their coordination issues have shown through, where they can't really get on the exact same page, and they're less clear, I think, on how to close out the game than they are on how to build the lead in the first place.
Well, right now, DSG are invading the enemy jungle. Kryra looking at this red buff that Blabber was forced to surrender as now he re-engages back over the wall. Vulcan's ready to try to join him, but the heroic entrance from Call Me has also arrived. Blabber gets back over the wall here with the blast cone, and C9 is ready to try to collapse for a full-on punish. Shockwave over the wall puts Lions in the grave. Thanatos takes the kill on that one, and C9 have already found the first kill of the skirmish. Dredgeline not quite going to find the target there on Call Me, who just barely sidesteps the range. So +1 C9 on disguised attempted invade.
That was a fortuitous blast cone. That was actually crazy. I thought Blabber was in a really tough spot, but he plays it well, uses the Cataclysm to get out of that heroic entrance as the Galio's coming in, then is able to blast cone back over the wall to safety, re-engage back in off the shockwave there from Loki, and C9 are able to win out in this, and it all starts off of this invade here. So it goes in Kryra, but of course they are expecting this. Galio comes in, there's the Cataclysm to the side, which was really, really nice, and then that blast cone from Vulcan gets him out to safety and Blabber out to safety at the same time, and then Shockwave over the wall. Even with the Breath of Life, it's a good follow-up there from Blabber. that blast cone really made all the difference here, and it's one of those little things where you kind of wonder, oh, could DSG have maybe knocked that out themselves earlier, or is there some way that they could have used that to their favor?
Right, and I feel like a lot of times when you're invading the enemy jungle, you don't want to pop the blast cones early, because if you do get caught in a bad spot, you're thinking, oh, I can use the blast cone to get back out. So I can understand leaving it up there, but unfortunately for Disguised, it does just end up being that sort of plot armor there for Blabber, like you're talking about.
It was a blue blast cone.
Yep, we cannot afford to lose this character at this point in the story. He miraculously survives. Let's go to the next episode.
Exactly.
So,
like when you're watching Game of Thrones and you don't see the character actually die on screen.
Right, yeah.
You know,
like,
it just goes to the next scene when they might die. You're like,
he's going to crawl out of some road. The classic The Walking Dead, yeah, he hit under the dumpster.
Yeah.
There's plenty of,
but you were in a grassy field.
Yeah, that blast cone was Blabber's dumpster. And he's sailing towards new horizons on that one. Kryra down here with the bottom side, charging up the Vault Breaker, but it's Vulcan and Blabber starting up to fight first. There's another Shockwave coming in. The 1-2 punch from Blabber, and Loki once more finds the target, and Blabber gets away. The Golden Aegis guarantees he ain't gonna burn down. Has additional damage onto Kryra. A double kill for Tactical through that one. Oh, man, even though Call Me shows up, it's not going to matter. And once again, it's C9 winning the fight. But now here on the top side, Surdy has popped the Ghost. Thanatos has failed to catch the Boomerang. He wants to try to flash away and stay alive. He sidesteps that last Undertow, and that was critical. If that would have hit, Surdy would have been able to kill him. But that means Thanatos survives the losing engage on the top side, and C9 wins out on the bot lane fight.
Yeah, that was very close. This initial hook setting up here from Vulcan, gets the hook, hits the depth charge, and Blabber finds that 3-man Cataclysm. The Shockwave there to follow it up, and Blabber limping away with no health here. The immediate stun on Call Me as he arrives, and he flashed forward to try to go for that Winds of War and finish him off, but couldn't get it there, and then he's not kind of helping on the other side as a result, and C9 come up big on both sides of the map.
And I really like, because Blabber used his EQ combo to get right through the taunt, as you're talking about, with Call Me kind of locked up, not able to land. Even just the pitiful damage that's normally on Galio's taunt would have killed Blabber from where he was at. So just really nice maneuvering there from Blabber, really nice team play from the rest of the C9 squad, as now it's once again a 3-man play. It's Vulcan, Blabber, and Tactical putting the damage into Surdy, who does not have his Ragnarok available. More damage comes in, though, as Call Me arrives with another heroic entrance to protect his top laner. Meanwhile, up in the C9 top side, it's Thanatos under pressure, but it's Thanatos who almost gets the kill onto Lions here in the 1v3. Staying alive for now. Kryra gets back away. He's almost dead now, too. Sajed also brought down to 100 HP. DSG, they get the dive. It's close, but that doesn't matter. They succeed in what they came for. They'll kill off Thanatos and crash the wave.
Doesn't get much more frustrating than that for Thanatos, because it looked like he had a big outplay set up. He's in a 1v2. He ults him under the tower, clears out the wave, double wallop stun. You think, oh my god, he's just going to 1v2 kill them here. Then Kryra comes over the wall, and you still think Thanatos maybe has that chance to outplay or at least get some return kills.
Yep.
But every tower shot is survived. They have just enough health to limp out all 3 members. They get the kill, and it goes to Sajed. So it's pretty frustrating stuff there for Thanatos, and their dive on the bot side was thwarted by Call Me.
You know who the MVP of that fight is? It's Olaf, because Olaf made Thanatos buy the speed boots instead of the armor boots.
Oh.
If Thanatos had the armor boots, because all the damage that was hitting him was from Sajed and Kryra, I actually think he maybe gets the 3v1.
There you go.
This Surdy was the MVP here.
Yep, top diff. You can call it out. So here's Thanatos going in, sidestep on that Ultra Mega Fire Kick, lands the double wallop. Lions with a good pre-cleanse there, got the heal out before, otherwise he would have just straight up died. Then Kryra tanks the maximum amount of damage. He was down to, what, 50 health there after that boulder toss? That was ridiculously close, but close is close enough. It's they're going to get it done, and Sajed is working towards that IE. He has caught up in gold, basically dead even with Tactical at this point.
Yeah, Tactical with 5 stacks on that Rod of Ages means just shy of 20 minutes or so, he is going to get that fully stacked up. We'll see if that impacts any big objective fights. Speaking of which, 10 seconds on the clock until Rift Herald spawns. C9 owned both of the first Drakes, but it was DSG who got all 3 grubs in trade for that first one. They do seem to have control over the topside river right now, as you have Lions, Sajed, and Kryra moving together as a 3-man unit to force C9 back. You also have that vision control with the control ward there in the topside river from DSG. They want to make sure they can see how C9 wants to approach this. It looks like they're ready to fight for this Herald. As Tactical finds a lot of damage onto Sajed, chunks him down below half, but the Cozy Campfire is going to get him back up to around the same amount of health Tactical is. So just a little trade between bot lane carries. 1,500 gold lead still for C9 as Blabber heads over to the Herald Pit to clear out some vision.
Yeah, Cryer was spam pinging all-in pings on that brush. Clearly wanted to fight, but I think with Sajed chunked out, it's just not going to happen, at least not right now. And it is cool to see this duel between these two AD carries because these guys actually have quite a bit of history, right? You know, Tactical played against Sajed a number of times in Tier 2, was able to get the best of him both times. You know, was pretty one-sided in these series against Dragonsteel. And Tactical also has some history against DSG because he was actually on the team that DSG defended their spot from at last year. So, you know, he has some history both against Sajed and against the organization itself, which makes it cool, you know, having these players be so familiar with each other.
Now we have yet another fight breaking out. Tons of damage into Tactical, but the Culling taking him below half HP yet again, but a nice use of Petrifying Gaze to hold off the assault. Cry was first to die as Loki takes the kill. Make it a 2-for-0 so far as Call Me also falls. C9's gonna ram the Herald into the turret there thanks to Blabber. Sajed tries to get away, but Loki's got the damage. Lion survives, but it's mid, jungle, and AD all gone for DSG, and C9 isn't done. Surdy's hanging around. He's trapped on top of the Cassiopeia puke, and he's not going anywhere. Loki's on a killing spree, and all of a sudden, Azael, this game that was still within striking distance, this game that DSG could come back in is so far away.
Yeah, and it's started out here by the Vi going in, but Tactical just flashes out, and then look at the CC on the Galio. Galio just does not move, 100-0. He is basically CC'd the entire time. Surdy can't really find a good angle in because Tactical had some pretty good positioning, and then Sajed is just chased down, dove under the tower, and it feels like that is the backbreaker in what was a very close game so far. C9 now claims a 4.5k gold lead. They maintain the Dragon advantage, and they are getting very, very strong at this point. And I mean, just look at how much damage was done by the Orianna. Galio, as I said, was basically perma-CC'd 100-0, Petrifying Gaze, then Nard into the wall, then hit by the wall-up, then hit by a root, and just dies without really being able to do anything.
And man, Loki is having such a good game on this Orianna. At the top of the day, we make a couple of jokes about his poor Rise performance in the previous week with the silly Realm Warps, but this
But does Orianna have Realm Warp?
No, she doesn't. She has Shockwave, and this dude has hit every Shockwave so far this game. The synergy that he's been having alongside Blabber and the rest of the team, I just feel like he's having a phenomenal game. This Orianna is making such a difference in all the fights, all the attempted plays, whether it's 2v2s, 3v3s, 5v5s, whatever. The ball is all.
And Atlanta, Georgia, the home of the nation's largest aquarium, Lever Pepper Rings, and from October 3rd and 4th, the LCS Championship at Gas South Arena. Tickets are on sale now. Scan the QR code, and you'll see Flowers and I there. It'll be fun.
Yeah, brother.
Yes, sir.
It'll be a good time. Gas. That's just fun to say. All right. C9, though, they are stepping on the gas in this one because 20 seconds are left on the clock until the next Drake spawns. Like I said before the Herald, they already have the first two, so this is sole point. Obviously, DSG have one more to surrender, and it's a tough call to make because it's 5,000 gold. I feel like you practically have to let this one go, but then you're staring down the barrel of a mandatory team fight every 5 minutes for the rest of the game.
Also, how much gold is Sajed sitting on? He's had the exact same items forever. We were just talking about this a while ago. I guess he's on quite a bit of gold, but I guess must not have IE gold. I'm actually shocked they're going to fight this without him having 2 items because I think this is a very weak spot in the game for them right now.
All right, they've already begun it. The Dragon's down to half HP. Thanatos has no Narbar. C9 going to put some damage into Call Me here at the very start. Sajed already using the culling to not great effect. Surdy wants to jump in, put a little bit more DPS into Vulcan's health bar, but he won't find any kills. Surdy's already dead. Kryra trying to pressure Tactical here in the back, but Kryra exhausted will have no way out. Loki on a rampage. DSG, it went exactly as you said, Azael. They want to try to fight. They're not in a great spot, and C9 is happy to let the cards fall where they may.
I mean, that is one of those situations where, yeah, they were already losing this game, but it is kind of reminiscent to the game ones that they had last time, where they were actually in good spots, and they can't make a good evaluation of when they should fight. Just look at the item completions. Blabber versus Kryra, 2 items to 1, just finished his Black Cleaver. Loki just finished his second item with the Rocket Belt. Tactical just finished the upgraded Archangels and had a fully stacked Roa. And then on the other side, not one of those people has 2 items. And then after you've lost the fight, Sajed buys an IE and a double longsword, right? It's like, when you're behind, you want to fight on 2 before they're on 3 items. That's where your chance is, and I feel like that was kind of a hopeless look.
And right now, it looks like Call Me is also feeling pretty hopeless here in this 1v3. Blabber engages it to start it off. Easy enough for Vulcan and Thanatos to finish the kill. They even give the money over to the Gnar in the side lane. Tactical, staying alive here as Sajed and Lion try to put the pressure on him, but he's already full stacked on Roa. He's already got his Seraph's Embrace. He's got Loki behind him to finish the kill onto Sajed. It's just all a matter of details at this point. C9's got the game all locked up with an 8,000 gold lead and Dragon Soul point status. Thanatos gonna pick up the tier 1 turret. Half of DSG is looking at the game through a black and white filter, so C9 might as well take a 20-minute bear.
Yes, sir, and after that last fight, we didn't even get to talk about it because C9 just went on the map and killed him again. Double Seekers was purchased up by C9 after that. So that is kind of the countdown, and clock has struck midnight, and I think the Cinderella story is over for game 1. DSG not going to really be able to find much of anything now, down 8,000 gold with the luxury items completed. But I just really, really cannot help but wish they waited until the 4th Dragon. Just give that one up. And I think by the 4th Dragon, they will be on 2 items, but C9, if you're not fighting them, will not be on 3. And then you have a reasonable chance. Yes, you are still behind, but it's 2 items and pieces versus 2 items instead of going in on white item versus 2 completed items that all the C9 members just had finished.
And now we've got the Seeker's Arm Guard never even needed to be fully used for Loki. That is now all the way upgraded into Azonia's Hourglass, so that's pretty problematic. 8-1 and 6 here on the Orianna. Kryra even tries to get away with a blast code, is pulled right back and has to use the flash just to survive. It's 16-4. DSG knows they need a Cloud9 error. They need a massive issue from C9 in terms of execution to even have a chance in one of these upcoming fights. The double Seekers, like you're talking about, it's literally the point you made at the start of the game. Yeah, it's a long way away, but once they get there, who do Disguised even go on? Well, that long way away is now reality, and Disguised are having to buckle up because this one is heading for the ditch real quick. Vulcan goes in, immediately Surdy's going to lose 80% of his health bar. Call Me might lose even more. Stunned up here, Mega Gnar back into the wall, and the Galio is gone. C9, they find 1 kill. They nearly get the 2nd with Surdy forced all the way back into the fountain. That is now an Olaf having to heal up, and with no ultimate, Surdy can't really participate in the fights. Recalls being channeled now from the C9 side, but it is just their 2 solo laners who will immediately rejoin the rest of the squad and go for the game-ending push right here. Vulcan at half HP goes in for the dredge line. Beautiful petrifying gaze, ready to follow it up. Kryra is already dead, and DSG can't do anything about the C9 push. Everybody on Cloud9 still alive. This one could have been an email, but Cloud9 are just slamming Disguised in the first game. 21 kills in 23 minutes. DSG are going to have to bounce back here in the second one.
They absolutely are. I mean, one of the weirdest things to me about that game was it wasn't like they just got giga stomped in every lane and then the game went that way. Usually a 23-minute win means you lost super hard in every lane, in every aspect, right from the word go. It was close till Herald. It was actually a really close game until Herald. It could have gone either way. And then the wheels fell off, and then they decided to just strap some TNT on that thing and take it to Dragon.
Wile E. Coyote style. But no, I 100% agree. If I remember right at about the time of the Herald being started, the goal lead was 1.3K for C9. It's not even like, oh man, the game is just broken. All right, I see you.
They got punched right in their shiny teeth.
Yeah, that's there you go. Exactly. They're not sparkling anymore. But we've got the Jace, the Pantheon, and the Camille band out here by C9. DSG getting rid of Nocturne, Syndra, and Victor as Vulcan's Bard is locked in. First pick for C9.
Little Bard Caitlyn action, perhaps? Perhaps. As we are looking at Ziggs. Obviously, Camille is banned, so you can't go that route, but it is going to be Ziggs Shen. So much less explosive as far as the aggressive trades that you can actually go for, but Shen obviously is more of a neutralizing champion. You know, you can look for aggressive moves, but it is much more about how you answer the plays on the map. The one thing I will say, when you pick a champion like Shen into someone like Bard, you are generally so behind the plays until level 6. Like, I like playing both these champions a lot. And if the Shen wants to roam with me, great. because you're going to be a lot slower without Magical Journey, without the additional move speed from picking up these shrines, and really all you can do is try to answer plays, and because Bard is pretty low commitment as far as a champion, it's not like you have to like run in there and get taunted, right? Everything's in range. So I generally do like the way that feels pretty heavily from the Bard side of the matchup. Ezreal going to be grabbed, which has kind of become the de facto AD carry lately in pro play. It's just, when you talk to any pro players, like, well, it just can lane against every mage, and you're not going to get punished when your support is roaming, and it's kind of just safety incarnate.
Well, you see, when you play mages, you need to hit your buttons more because your right click is garbage. Ezreal also, compared to the rest of AD carries, his right click does less of his job than his buttons
Smelling
do.
a little magey.
So yeah, he's kind of like, he's got
He builds a tier, doesn't he, Flowers?
Perhaps mana is a desirable stat on this
Interesting.
mage D carry. Yes, sir. So let's see how that Ezreal will play. Oh, we've been waxing philosophical about mage Ezreal for too long. The forbidden pick has been locked in.
The dog?
No.
And the Rise.
The Loki Rise.
The 0-8, 0% win. Oh.
0-9. He was 0-8 last week.
Oh, I thought he was 0-7.
I believe he was 0-8 last week. He was 0-9 after the C9 game 1 throw last week.
The important thing, he has never won a Rise game in his entire career.
It's 0-something. It's either 0-8 or 0-9.
0-8.
Okay, 0-8. You were right. I apologize.
Yeah. You're predicting into the future here. You're already calling the loss.
Technically, if this Rise is like last week's Rise, we are both right because you're right now and I'm going to be right later. He has... I wanted to make sure that I really praised him for his impeccable Orianna in game number 1. I voted him my player of the game. I think he was awesome on that.
He was.
But his Rise last weekend was objectively terrible, right? Those Realm Warps solo lost the game. So if nothing else, I just want to see not that, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're just using the Realm Warps to like maneuver minions into a better position to fast move second tower. Yeah, come back from base. Sure, do whatever. Do anything that's not kill Blabber and Thanatos.
Unbind that thing when enemies are on your screen.
Yeah, just get rid of it. You don't need it.
Yeah.
It passively powers up your Q. It's still doing a job just by leveling it. So, all right,
the forbidden button.
Yeah, the forbidden button. Like,
it's like Voldemort, but an ability.
Yes.
You can't talk about
There's an R in Voldemort, and that part of the name is the most forbidden. That is the most forbidden letter. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, it is going to be a frontline Renekton and Skarner here for the C9 side. So a couple meatball boys to make sure that the Rise and the Ezreal have the time to do their damage. You already mentioned the dog locked in for Kryra over on the DSG side. Unfortunately, my friend, I believe that Chihuahua is still Chihuahua size after the game number 1 performance.
But will it be after this game here, as Surdy going to be bringing out the Vayne, made his name for himself, getting to the top of solo queue, did that a lot of the time through playing ranged tops, right? And we haven't really got to see him be unleashed on these too many times. Generally, when it is a good situation, they're going to be banning him out. Obviously, last game, Vayne was banned because that is a known counter into Gnar. Has a very, very good matchup in Gnar, but it also has a very good matchup into Renekton. So this is going to be interesting to see how Surdy can actually do, if Kryra can play towards him and enable him, because of course, when you're looking, there are tools that C9 have to get up there and attack the Vayne, right? Vayne versus Renekton in isolation, you should pretty much never lose that matchup, but the problem comes when all of a sudden Realm Warp comes in, the forbidden ability, and then, the Scorpion's coming over the wall, Realm, you have Bard coming in and hitting you with Tempered Fate, like all of these extra tools to attack you, because you have to kind of play in your opponent's face, and you're not playing Cleanse, he is playing Exhaust, so Flash Stun from the Renekton, +1 usually means you're kind of dead.
And I feel like you kind of have to attack this guy with multiple people at once, because for both, you already mentioned it with the Renekton, but also for Skarner, if Vayne is sober and has not used E on someone else, Skarner doesn't touch Vayne, right? Like, that's just not going to happen. So I feel like if they're going to do anything to Surdy, they've got to do it with multiple points of pressure. We'll see how much they want to focus on him. Obviously, the bottom lane, with it being that Ziggs versus Ezreal, is a lot of spam abilities clear the waves, so that shouldn't draw as much attention as it might have in game number 1 with the Lucian and Melio combination. And of course, with both of our mid laners having those big macro impacting ultimates with the Weaver's Wall and the Realm Warp, we'll see how effectively, I should say, both sides can use their mid laners to make plays in the side lanes.
And that is a very nice start there from Surdy. Thanatos tried to sneak into that brush to be in range to soak XP and loses about 200 health for his trouble as he gets found there by Surdy. These side lane wards are actually so important in these range versus melee matchups because if you do not have the brush warded, he just pops in and out over and over, and Vulcan going to see if he can find a steal. There is no smite, so he has a chance.
Yep. The Dark and Dagger bleed, getting the blue down to 200 HP. Cryra does not want to have this fully reset. Oh, and it is going to reset at least partially. So even if Vulcan doesn't get to steal it away, he does slow Cryra down. Now Lions is ready to answer, finds a taunt onto Vulcan as the Bard makes his exit from the enemy jungle, but it's level 1 Shen. It's not like there's any real kill threat or anything there.
Yeah, no one else was moving, so it's kind of a who cares. So not only do you spot Cryra, you slow him down a bit there, and you put Blabber in a position where Blabber just wants to power farm to 6 mostly, unless there's some really good gank, opportunity that is opened up. So the tank jungler is going to be accelerated a bit. He's going to be about 1 camp ahead of the pace of where Cryra is, thanks to that play there from Vulcan. And for Thanatos, a lot of these range versus melee matchups is about how much do you give versus how much do you try to farm, because it is very, very difficult. You cannot farm everything, and Blabber is going to walk through mid.
Yeah, and that means that Call Me is forced to use his flash in trade for Loki's Ghost, so Summoner Spell trade up for the C9 side.
Yeah, and Blabber just does 3 camp and then goes through mid towards bot, so it's not like he's wasting a lot of time here, and now Vulcan's coming back, so they are being pretty annoying. Just drops a couple of those health shrines. When those are fully charged, it is 100 HP that he's getting, so it's not a full health potion, but it is basically 1 refillable pot charge. Is quite nice there. And remember, home grounds here is going to be hosted by Lion in Mexico City. It is week 6, and we're going to have some really good matchups. The 4 teams that are going, C9, Lion, TL, and Shopify, we are going to get the Lion versus TL matchup that I think everyone is really looking forward to. And also in week 5, the other 4 teams will be playing a doubleheader here in LA to accommodate the schedule. But man, I'm really excited for some of those top of the table matchups.
Yeah, it ought to be a great time. It'll definitely shake things up compared to the normal flow of a split here in LCS. So make sure you mark that one on your calendars. Week 5 here in the studio, and then week 6 is our big road show with those 4 teams. So down in bottom lane, Vulcan has returned here. You can see neither one of the supports hitting level 3 here just yet, but Lions is very close, and Vulcan is not. So Vulcan will need to soak a little bit of EXP.
Yeah, and Vulcan versus Lions, I think, is a really important matchup because I'm just going to be honest, I do think that Lions has really been struggling in his time with DSG.
Yeah.
And Vulcan, I think, is one of the best supports in the league, period. He's been playing really, really well. I think Core and Isles have also been fantastic, but to me, those are kind of the big 3 right now. And it is going to be up to Lions to try to match Vulcan on a champion that I think has the edge as far as how he's going to be playing the map, and against a player who is on absolute comfort in that Bard as well. So this is definitely a point of trouble potentially in this game for DSG.
Yeah, Lions definitely needs to step up. I feel like anybody that's been watching LCS consistently throughout this year is going to look at him as one of the biggest avenues for potential improvement for Disguised. So going up against somebody like Vulcan, like you're saying, who's been having good games individually, even in the games that C9 as a team is committing some of those unforced errors, some of those blunders, certainly a tall task here for the DSG.
He wasn't the Realm
support.
Warper.
No, he was not the Warper of Realms, but he's going to be on a magical journey here soon. You can see once again, just wandering through the river. Nothing really super exciting in the first 4 or 5 minutes of gameplay in this one, just like game number 1. So both teams taking it slow out of the gate yet again.
You can see Lions is up towards that top side, so I think was maybe predicting that Vulcan would move up there and wanted to be there to try to cover the play. Thanatos took an early base to buy refillable cloth armor, where Surdy has not yet been back to base, so Surdy kind of has to pick his moment to try to crash this wave and actually go back and buy his items, because of course, he is not playing TP, he is playing Exhaust, so he needs to actually have Prio to be able to get a base off without losing a lot, and he should be able to get that, but of course, the longer you are out here in lane, it is a little bit scary if you are getting ganked, and someone is level 6 with a real item, and you are still just on Doran's bow.
Well, we can see C9 paying very close attention to the first Drake spawn here in this one. Last game we talked about how Chem Drake generally deprioritizes that first objective because it doesn't give you a whole lot, whereas Ocean Drake's the opposite. Really feels good to have that in laning phase for the extra regeneration capabilities. And
especially in top.
Yeah. And that's like having to deal with Surdy, having to deal with this situation where the Vayne's just constantly pummeling you. The nice part is, laning against the Vayne, at least, like obviously this character is super oppressive, very difficult to interact with for short-range melee-style champions. But one of the weaknesses, one of the trade-offs she pays for that, 0 wave clear in the kit, right? So is a bit more difficult for Surdy to get those shoves and have the recalls on exactly the timings you want.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And Thanatos going to go back, going to get Steel Caps, and he's heading bot. So they're trying to swap out once 30 bases and actually takes his buy. They know it's going to be even harder there for Thanatos, so they send their bot lane top, and Vulcan and Tactical are going to be here. And like you said, Vayne has very poor wave clear, so when you are in these 1v2 situations, yeah, sure, you can stay alive, whatever, but you're not going to be pushing in, and you're going to be struggling to actually defend the tower and keep that healthy because you do not have a great wave clear. So even with Lions up here, you can see Tactical and Vulcan already landing some good chip and just keeping this push in. They got the first plate pretty much instantly, and they're going to look to continue to get some more damage down on this tower.
Yep, and Surdy and Lions will just be laning against him 2v2 style. It's like the Vayne has been picked as the bottom laner now since Ziggs has the incredible wave clear that he does. They're fine just leaving Sejed down there against Thanatos on the Renekton. And if you're Thanatos, this is great. Even though you have the armor boots and Ziggs is going to do AP damage, I still feel like laning against the Ziggs should be far less oppressive than Vayne in your face every time you walk forward.
It absolutely is. I mean, especially because he was able to kind of live through this early stage. You know, he TP'd back quick, and then he never had to actually lane against Vayne post-buy. So his TP's almost back, right? And yeah, eventually, in theory, Sejed could whittle you down, but you're going to be able to clear out the waves very easily, and even if you eventually get low, then you ult, you clear the wave again, you TP back. You know, it's not going to be a big issue there for the Renekton. So we'll see if DSG does try to swap up the lanes again. As Lions is head back to base, he had to heal back up, and C9 will maintain the push here on this top side. And we're just kind of waiting to see where that first play will be made.
Yeah.
Both teams kind of have somewhat similar comps in a lot of ways. You know, obviously, you have a playmaking support who's going to be able to move around the map. You have two mid laners with the Realm Warp as well as the Weaver's Wall who can be able to move around the map, and they are going to be looking for those big fights.
Ooh, Lions with a nice two-man taunt coming in. Vulcan's your first target. Magical Journey through the wall, getting away for now. Surdy trying to hunt him down, but it's first blood over to Surdy's Vayne. Make it a double as he's getting paid here in this top side 3v3. It's DSG coming out on top. Tactical and Vulcan down, and Surdy's Vayne is off to a beautiful start.
And that was a really good start to the fight there from Lions, who we were just being a little bit critical of, saying, you know, that he was one of the ones who had been struggling. Blabber is back here, though, but Vayne has the move.
Yeah, Blabber, though, just walking up, stealing that grub away in a contest of no smite versus no smite between the junglers. It is Blabber who lands it, and so he's going to manage to secure all three grubs here as Kryra has to retreat.
Yeah, that is actually really, really big. So again, started off well by Lions. He was spotted, but they just kind of walked up, bold as you like. They did not realize that Kryra was right behind him. Double taunt comes in, Blabber's coming over the wall, so I think C9 thinks we're baiting him, but Surdy just flashes away. Even though he does get tagged by the end of the Ishtal's impact, he created enough space from the wall that Blabber could never actually stun him into the wall, and then the final hour tumble to the side, avoids the impale. Surdy played that fight very, very well. It was started out really well here also by Lions, and yeah, C9 thought they had the jump, but both teams had their junglers, and if you cannot get in onto that Vayne and take him down pretty early, final hour, lethal tempo stacked up, this guy's going to be pumping.
Yeah, and these champions like Blabber and Thanatos that build bruiser-style items. Skarner just wants to stack health forever and ever. Hold on now, Thanatos in even more danger. Kryra shows up yet again. Thanatos getting away from the last Darkened Dagger, forced to use that ultimate to stay alive through the silver bolts of Surdy. But yeah, Surdy's two big targets he's going to be hitting are mostly health, bruiser, meatball style champions.
Yep.
Vayne chews through these so easy.
Yeah, he absolutely does. I mean, it is a nightmare to itemize against Vayne as any sort of champion that's supposed to be tanky, because there's nothing that feels good. You build health, well, percent true damage. You build armor, well, true damage ignores that too. So it is very, very difficult to deal with the Vayne in these situations. And even though Thanatos lives, he loses his flash and his ult, which are really the only tools he has to try to do something in this matchup. You know, I talked about the vulnerability that Vayne has if a jungler shows up, but without flash, that is tough. And remember, the LCS Championship is headed to Gas South Arena in the greater Atlanta area, October 3rd and 4th. Tickets are now on sale. Get your tickets. You're going to see who's going to be going to Worlds, and Worlds is also in today, so you should probably get your tickets for that as well.
Do love it when Worlds is in North America. 3 out of 4 years, I got to watch Worlds at ass o'clock in the morning, but not this year.
Not this year.
This is the 1 out of 4.
This is
going to be on at normal hours. Except if you don't live in North America, then it's going to be on in the middle of the night. But you know what? It's Worlds. It's worth it. Turn that schedule upside down. Send your boss a message. Uh-oh, you just got sick. We'll deal with that a month from now.
Exactly. And nice for you because you have a soy allergy, and it's harder when you're traveling to find food you can eat.
True. We are going to hit up the good old American fast food chains. That will be the play. As Disguised is up 1,000 gold. The second Drake of the game is alive. C9 control both neutrals so far with that early Drake take into the Grubs after they lost the fight on the top side. So now they want to continue stacking those neutrals, as Surdy has completed his experimental Hex, played very strong here in the Vayne, but again, no TP to try to join the fight, as the Chemtech is secured by the C9 side, but now Blabber's going to pay the price. Call Me takes the kill on that one, so objective traded for a single death, as DSG kills the enemy jungler after he secures the dragon.
Yeah, I think C9 will be pretty happy with that at the end of the day, unless DSG are able to push in and get something else with this, but it doesn't really look like that's going to happen. Maybe you get a plate mid, but one kill for that dragon, going to be feeling nice, and Cloud Dragon always really powerful, especially when you do have champions along the lines of Renekton, where it's like, this champion loves Cloud Soul, but flat move speed in general is just incredibly powerful across the board.
And now I really just want to see from Disguise specifically, because we talked about in game number 1 a lot of, yeah, they can get leads in individual games. In the game ones of the previous 2 weeks, they did that, but then they can't convert it. And you mentioned how, yeah, it's a young roster. They're more inexperienced. It's harder to know what to do with the leads once you have them than it is to just get them in the first place through simply having the hands. So I really want to see, since so much of the power of DSG right now is in this Vayne that's in the side lane, who does not have a teleport, DSG is going to have to pick their fights correctly.
The Chihuahua is fed, and now we have to see what the Chihuahua can do.
Okay, well, it's still a Chihuahua for now. It might have got a whole bowl full of kibbles.
But it's a Chihuahua with an experimental hex plate, and that sounds terrifying.
Okay, experimental hex plate for the Chihuahua, trying to bark at the dog that's 2 ladder rings above him.
Yeah. Significantly bigger dog.
Yes.
But that Chihuahua is going to be fast.
The Chihuahua is ready. But again, they have to be able to play around Surdy. They have to be able to play around this Vayne that is fed and does not have a teleport. That means it's everyone on the team's responsibility to recognize this point of power and only make moves that are going to allow them to leverage it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's always difficult, you know, because Vayne, you are relatively short range. Yes, you obviously have Final Hour. You're going in Viz. You have these abilities to outplay. As Blabber, maybe going to find an angle here on Call Me. But the problem is, if you get Flash room prisoned by Loki, or you get hit by a Cosmic Binding or anything like that, or a Flash Ruthless Predator stun, the follow-up CC will be there from C9, almost guaranteed, and you're probably going to die 100-0 without moving, right? Because Ishal's Impact, Impale, all of this CC will be layered, so Vayne really is going to be depending upon her ability to avoid that initial CC, to try to outplay in these little skirmishes. Because once those cooldowns are used, once that CC is used from C9, then Vayne can go crazy. But until that moment, you have to be pretty careful.
Honestly, I would love to see Mikhail's from Lions or a QSS from Surdy for like item 3 or something. But I know obviously you don't want to rush QSS too soon because it's going to interrupt the core build path too significantly. But the experimental hex plate is already there. You can see the cloak working towards that second completed item, as Thanatos, he has done a very good job of staying caught up in terms of farm. It's only like 1 wave separating the 2 of them, but he's still having just as much fun as he was earlier, which is none at all.
Yep, I mean, you're basically, in this matchup, all you are doing is trying to one-shot the wave, right? You're kind of turret hugging, and then when the wave comes up, you go in, slice and dice, and you try to just kill that wave as fast as humanly possible so you do not interact with that Vayne. And he's done a good job, and C9 have also done a good job, you know, with how they were moving around the map and kind of circumventing some of the difficult parts of the matchup. So he has stayed very, very relevant as far as the farm is concerned. He's only down 2 CS, but of course Surdy has gotten plates, and Surdy did get those 2 kills. So Surdy is still up 1,000 gold.
Well, this is the point of the previous game where everything exploded for DSG. It all came down to the Herald fight. C9, they take the Herald, they take the fight. They even use the Herald right after to chase underneath the enemy turrets, secure an additional kill. The game wasn't really playable for DSG after the Herald in game number 1. So now in game number 2, it's DSG with the nearly 2,000 gold lead. Remember, it was C9 with about 1.3, 1.4 lead before the Herald in the previous game. As now bottom side, it's a DSG play going in after Thanatos. Kryra uses the Call the Pack to drop any Turbid aggro. They got Lions there with the Stand United. They set it up easy peasy for Surdy to get kill number 3. And they know that C9's going to go after that Rift Herald. They're saying, fine, take it, whatever. We're going to kill your top laner and get the turret bottom.
Exactly. I mean, the Rift Herald is the potential of killing a tower or getting plates. killing someone and getting plates is killing someone and getting plates, right? Like, that is the gold right there. And there's no way that Thanatos can outplay in that situation because he just gets the dog delivery system into a taunt, into that condemn in the wall, and he's just dead.
I'm going to say the most white guy from the Midwest thing that I can right now, which is there's an old Family Guy episode that has a joke in it where Peter Griffin picks a mystery box over like a boat. And his friends are like, Peter, why did you pick the mystery box over the boat? He's like, mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat. And that's kind of what you get from the Herald versus the Tower.
What I always think about with Family Guy is that when Peter falls and hurts his knee, he's for about 5 minutes straight. That killed me.
That's how Thanatos feels after the three-man gang. But now we're back to another neutral objective. It is C9 wanting to continue their Drake stack. They might be behind 2,500 gold, but if they can hit Soul Point, they'll be feeling pretty good about that. Now, DSG has firepower nearby, but critically, it's not Surdy. The 3-kill Vayne is up in the top side of the map, and Thanatos is going to TP down here to the bottom river. So C9 should have man advantage as Sajed has to use his flash to get away and stay safe. Lions also absorbing a little bit of pressure right now, as DSG maintaining their position, and Surdy has made his way over. Now that it's a 5v5, now that C9 can't get anything with a numbers advantage, they know they don't want a fair fight, they back away. Yeah,
C9 were looking to pick a fight with the little brother, but then the big brother came down
showed
from
up.
top lane. Right, never mind, we don't want that smoke. I'm sorry. Just a prank, bro.
Just gonna leave. It's like, all good. Okay, see you guys next time.
Yeah, so Surdy shows up. They do trade the TPs. Of course, it is the longer TP there for Surdy because he is just using that realm. The role quest TP. He does not actually have that summoner selected. And Loki goes up towards top, is going to be able to push out this wave, but Surdy will catch most of it and pretty much has his Essence Reaver ready to go. And then you are going to be able to just keep these fights going, keep that side lane push going pretty much forever. And remember, tomorrow we got Dardoch versus Armeo here. Dardoch making his return to the LCS. Yes, Dardoch versus Armeo. Armeo, of course, substituting for Inspired, who is away for a couple weeks. He said he was going to be away 2 to 3 weeks. This is 3rd week. And they have been doing really well with Armeo, which was kind of a surprise to me. And then Dardoch, of course, I think a lot of people would be shocked to hear that he is back, but he has been killing it in the NACL. And as Jat did in this whole long presentation, he had quotes from all kinds of different players that Dardoch has been playing with in Tier 2 who have a lot of really positive things to say about him and his attitude. So it's going to be a new opportunity to kind of redefine himself for Dardoch in the LCS.
Yeah. In case you missed it, if you weren't around for Waiting Room, Jat directed a dedicated Dardoch dissertation and had a pretty long explanation of kind of his history in the league, as well as all of those impressions, those good impressions that he's made
his PhD?
On current Tier 2. Yeah, his I don't know what does the PH stand for?
What?
What does the PH stand for in PhD?
I don't know.
He's got his philosophical Dardoctorate, and that means that he's
Dardoch.
Yeah, he's the Dardoch. But Dardoch coming back, it should be an interesting time. I think honestly, if you're Dignitas, you're probably pretty excited that he's coming back, and it's still Armeo that you're jungling against instead of Inspired for the first week. But that's all tomorrow. Right now, we still got the rest of this one to play as Blabber goes in and finds the Impale on the Lions, who has to taunt and then flash over the wall trying to get himself away. Meanwhile, Vulcan, nice use of the ulti there to lock up Sajed, who's going to be protected by that Stand United, but it will not protect enough. The shutdown credit goes to Tactical. Call Me tries to find something on the backside of the fight here from the right angle as Blabber is low, but Surdy has finally joined the fight. Goes into the final hour, but he's trapped in Rune Prison. Surdy down to 20% HP. DSG's got to be careful. Thanatos here with a re-engage. Shutdown on Call Me. It happens again and 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 again. No matter how many leads DSG builds, when it comes time to clutch the fight, they can't find what they need.
Yeah, C9 started out that fight well. They take down Sajed, and he got no value really with the Mega Inferno Bomb. Just kind of dropped it on his head in celebration there at the end. It all started out with Blabber finding the Impale here onto the Shen. He gets pulled in. Yeah, he flashes out, but he is completely out of the fight. And at the same time, Sajed gets tagged there. And even with the Stand United, he's got no way out of that. Didn't have his flash available. Just kind of walked up bold as you like, and Vulcan caught him. And that is such a difference maker. And then look at Surdy going in. Yeah, great. You have all this ability to outplay until you get hit by the Rune Prison, and he loses all of his health. About 80% of his health is gone during that room prison, instantly pushed back. So as strong as 30 is, there's not really any opportunity for him to do anything in that fight because there's no one to create space because Lions was out of it instantly. Sajed was already dead before he arrived. So there's not really any ability for him to outplay.
And now there's your Cosmic Binding into the wall. Sturdy pops final hour defensively, but Blabber is still on the hunt. The Impale lands. Vulcan gets the kill. Surdy is dead. Tempered Fate locks up Kryra, and they want to make it a 2-0, but Kryra with the flash stays alive. That disguised gold lead, 2.5, 3,000 gold lead that we saw just a couple of minutes ago is gone. As the tier 1 turret falls, DSG's lead shrinks down to 500. And for this team that is consistently finding leads, but consistently being unable to convert them, that specter of the promotion tournament is always rapping at the door. No matter what, no matter where they place, because of their promotional status, they must play against the top squad coming up from tier 2. And you've got to be able to start converting these wins. If nothing else, even if you're still not winning series, you've got to convert and win games to build that faith and confidence that'll keep you in the league.
Yeah, I think confidence is really going to be a big thing here because if you're just kind of getting beat down all split long, it is really hard to then go into a series like that. That being said, there are levels to this, right? You know, you are losing with a lead to Lion or to C9. That is very different than losing to a tier 2 team with a lead. And they've at least shown that they have the ability, the individual skill to create these advantages, which I feel like should give them a reasonable amount of confidence that they can actually close out some of these games. But the Dragon here, C9 trying to move to Soul Point. DSG want to stop him.
All right, C9, let's see if they can maintain the area, maintain the perimeter long enough to secure this one without a contest. Yes, they can. DSG still thinking about stepping up. Gold might as well be dead even right now, as no fight will occur. C9 are just going to exfiltrate this one, and now we are once again back to a point of permanent pressure here for DSG, as every Dragon afterwards is going to demand an answer. Realm Warp is used. It's a PvE Realm Warp! It's a PvE Realm Warp. That's what we said we wanted to see. Use it to get back to lane. Use it to go to the Baron. Use it to reposition your minions. Just make sure that Realm Warp is targeted towards something that the game controls. And right now, C9 controls the Baron. They're going to get this one for free. And oh man, we got to spend the first almost 20 minutes of gameplay talking about how it was looking better for Disguised, but we are right back to a spot where C9 controls the Rift.
Yeah, we absolutely are. I mean, the gold is still dead even, but it is C9 on Soul Point. It is C9 with 3 Grubs and Baron, so they will have push. And now pressure is on Surdy. I mean, he has been in a good spot for a long time, but I mean, I don't even really think it's his fault. He just hasn't really been able to do anything in these fights because the fights have kind of been over by the time he showed up, right? You know, that mid lane fight, Lions is already out of it. Sajed is dead by the time he shows up. That Dragon fight, they're just completely chunked out before he even arrives.
I mean, that's what I was saying earlier, though. This is kind of the test that you were giving them back in game number 1 is, yeah, you can get leads, but the inexperience, the lack of coordination puts them in a spot where it's hard to turn those leads into wins. And I said, I've got to see how they play around Surdy. This is your point of pressure. It's everyone's responsibility to play through the point of strength, and Disguised have not successfully done it.
I mean, look how much damage Tactical has gotten done. He has been the difference maker. He's landing so much poke before a lot of these fights, and you know, even Surdy beating on that Renekton all lane long is not close to the amount of damage that Tactical has done on this Ezreal. They're going to go for him, though.
Yeah, they want to try to dive in here with Kryra. Hound's Pursuit, yeah, he casts it, but Tactical still at 75% HP, even through that ulti from the Naafiri, and now that's a massive tool for the team fights that Kryra doesn't have available. Red Bull Baron power play still active for another minute and a half for C9. They know there's no Naafiri ulti, so they're just going to keep the pressure mounting. Tactical is left over in the mid lane to make sure that they're putting that pressure on at least 2 separate points, while everyone else groups top around the tier 2. Blabber going to take a ton of damage here, though. Stun back into the wall, tries to maybe turn it around. That looked a little silly, as he wanted to flash, maybe find an Ishtal's impact angle, but he will not get it. Loki takes the Realm Warp, gets himself away. DSG aren't going to get any more up here. Meanwhile, C9 traded for the tier 1 turret in the bottom lane, as Thanatos has pushed up and claimed that one. Tactical still pushing back over in mid with Vulcan beside him. Kryra jumps forward yet again, but remember, the Hound's Pursuit is on cooldown from earlier, so no chance to really chase after Vulcan or Tactical.
Yeah, good pick there on Blabber. I'm not really sure what he was thinking with the flash, and he goes for with Flash Esau's impact. Maybe was trying to catch someone, but Sajed is going to be the one caught.
Yeah, do they have any follow-up to do something meaningful?
Yep.
Yeah, they sure do. Tactical just jumps in and blows Sajed away as now Tactical, ooh, nice. He was trying to use his teleport for the fast exit, but Surdy just pushes him with the Condemn, cancels the channel on the Summoner spell. Kryra jumps in and grabs an additional kill here, this time on a Vulcan as Thanatos has to slice over the wall trying to stay alive. Flash away as the Condemn bolt is in the air, means he clears the terrain first as the Condemn chases him and then further creates distance between Thanatos and his pursuers. So he will live, but nice moves from Disguise, getting something back, halting the C9 onslaught even after Sajed dies.
Yeah, Sajed, you know, on the Ziggs, it's normally considered a very safe champion, but he has been struggling a bit and didn't think he could get dove. But even through the Stand United, he is just taken out, and then Tactical looks for that TP exit, but does get hit by the Condemn. I thought for a moment there, though, that it might actually be an angle out as he shifted over the wall. But at the end of the day, DSG do get a couple kills and get the Flash off for next.
It looks troll.
Oh, thank you.
Looks troll, but not the worst result.
Yeah.
We got Vayne Flash.
Yeah, it's fine.
It looks troll, oh. Okay, it looks troll, but it's not the worst.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, you did get Vayne Flash, you did get 1 kill for 2, so I think it's not the worst, but they did lose the Flash, obviously, off of Thanatos as well, and so there is definitely a cost to it. But you could hear, I think that was probably Loki's voice with the, yeah, sounded very unconvinced by,
like, I don't know,
by the not the worst result.
That kind of wasn't great, man. All right, so although the gold is now even, this brings even more spotlight onto the objective state of the game. C9 have been running the show with the Herald, with the Grubs. 3 out of 4 Drakes secured so far, and it's 20 seconds until the Soul spawns. You already mentioned how Thanatos loves that on the Renekton. It's so powerful for so many of their champions. Move speed only becomes that much more effective when your champion is limited in mobility in their kit. So for somebody like Rise who just runs at you, that's always going to feel really good. DSG on the approach now as C9 are staying grouped up as a unit. Loki gets taunt flash. That might be Disguise opportunity. Loki with the flash back into the Dragon Pit, staying alive for now, but Blabber is already dead. Loki's about to follow. Tactical goes over the wall, but Kryra's ready to follow him. 3 kills, DSG. Thanatos in the middle of everybody. But what the hell is one crocodile gonna do? It's DSG clutching up when they need to and slamming the Dragon Soul fight.
And finally, DSG are able to be on the front foot. They're creating the chaos. They are the ones pushing forward here and making space as they go in. And look at this here from Surdy. You know, comes in on the side, pumping damage into Blabber. Taunt Flash comes out from Lions there onto Loki, even with the double ult from Vulcan onto the backline. It just didn't matter because Surdy was completely untouched. They created so much chaos. He was able to find that time to free hit. Lions making space, Nefiri flying into the backline, making space, and you can see I Will Dominate not too happy about how that fight went. And look at that Chihuahua. He's looking angry.
He is downright feral in that one, DSG. And this is what it looks like when you play around that point of power. When you start the fight off with Vayne ready to pop off, Surdy hitting 6,817 damage in the previous fight. The highest damage on the enemy team, just ever so slightly over half of that from Thanatos on the Renekton. So now Sajed has to sidestep the Tempered Fate, stays alive for the moment, does not get caught by the Cosmic Binding, creates enough time to allow DSG reinforcements to arrive. Stand United coming in from Lions, as now Loki's going to be your target once more. Surdy on the chase down, grabbing kill number 1, make it number 2. Both solo laners out of the way. And here we go, 50-second death timers as DSG set their sights on the Baron.
Yeah, that's Baron o'clock, and credit to Sajed. Held his nerve there, didn't even flash. Sidestepped 2 abilities that would have meant his death for sure, and they were near sidesteps in those moments, and now Call Me and Lion just gonna create that space. They just need to keep Blabber away from that Baron, and it is theirs.
All right, Baron, should be no way for C9 in here. Baron secured by DSG, 6,000 gold lead for DSG. They had a solid early game. They fumbled the mid game, but they've clawed their way back, fighting around Surdy, fighting around this Vayne.
Now, I'm actually shocked he didn't flash here. Just barely got out. That is crazy. And then the sidestep on the binding as well. If either of those hit him, he is just dead. But he holds his nerve, holds onto the flash, and then Surdy just gets the early Stand United, gives him the confidence to fly in. They full send it, and that ult from Sajed got so much work done onto the C9 solo laners.
just finish this and then we then we can say we win.
Well, they're pretty close to saying they win right now, as DSG have 2 minutes and a little bit of change, a little bit of extra couple of seconds there to push with this Baron. They don't have to worry about the Dragon until that one expires. And honestly, the timers line up so well. The Baron is going to expire just 5-10 seconds before the Dragon spawns. So DSG should have total control over the Rift leading up to that, meaning once again, it'll be difficult for C9 to try to approach. But before we even get there, it's DSG trying to mop up some of this freestanding gold. They take out the tier 2 turret here in the bottom lane, bring that lead up to almost 7,000 as they continue applying the pressure down here with Call Me split pushing in mid since he has Weaver's Wall to join if a fight breaks out bottom.
And C9 just going to have to try to find some sort of a big play here. And I thought that they had gotten this game in their control, and I was honestly thinking that we were going to see the first win for Loki on Rise, but he is 0-8, and DSG are pushing into the base here, looking to seal the deal. They have massive leads really on all of the top side here. Call Me, Kryra, Surdy, all in very good positions. But we do know there is still no QSS, there is still no cleanse, so if you can get on Surdy and just one-shot him to start the fight, there is a chance for C9.
All right, DSG. Let's see, can you close it out? Can they do what has not been done so far here in the first couple of weeks of Summer Split and get their first game win up against a team like C9 as well, one of the teams that everybody's predicting to be in contest for those world slots, for potentially being one of the teams that could win Summer Split. For DSG to get their first win against them would be pretty legit. You know that would feel good for these guys.
It would feel really, really good. And on the other side, obviously, it's going to feel pretty bad for Cloud9, who, had a loss against Dignitas. They did lose that one game, not the series. But if you lose a game against both DSG and Dignitas, that's supposed to be the Chihuahua tier. That's supposed to be the easiest matchups that you will have. So if you are having some close games, some close series against those teams, it is a little concerning for that C9 side and maybe making some people rethink where they kind of have them placed in that tier list and just how strong they are right now. Of course, DSG looking like they are in a great spot to take this, but if C9 wins one fight, if they get Soul, then that lead is completely erased.
Well, it's a lot harder to do, though, when you look at the inventories of DSG. The Guardian Angel completed as the 4th big item here for Kryra. Meanwhile, Sajed, double burn items, plus Void, plus Rabadon. Zig's sweet spot on the ulti just blasts away half of anybody's health guaranteed, as the Drake is secured by Kryra here. DSG were not able to force down any inhibitors with their Baron. However, they did take the tier 3 turret in mid. They did have control over the map that earned them that Drake. So now we have reached the point where the next Drake must be Soul. But honestly, really impressive by DSG to make sure that C9 was never able to convert up until now. But again, we must see them close. They have been in this position before.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they had I think it was close to a 6,000 gold lead in their week 1, game 1. So they have been in a spot like this before, and they have damage in spades, as you are pointing out, but there are no Zonias on Call Me or Sajed. There's no GA on Surdy, so there is still a chance for C9 if they can find that perfect play, if they can find that perfect engage that they will be looking for here. And Tactical still trying to play very aggressive because there's very little CC on the DSG side. It is just Taunt and Condemn. That's basically it. And Blabber looking for a pick.
Yeah, Blabber has the pull here onto Sajed with a true shot barrage flying through. Sajed gets over the wall, but he is shut down by the Skarner. Blabber ends up taking the kill credit. Thanatos in the middle of everybody, eating a lot of damage from Surdy's auto attacks. He goes into Resurrection here from the Guardian Angel as Tempered Fate does not find a target. Thanatos coming back to life, and C9's making sure to keep him protected. Now Lions and Kryra both getting away off to the left. So DSG, they do lose a man, but they do not suffer an entire team wipe. Nice look there from C9, but there's nothing that they get to take as a reward.
Yeah, trade of some summoners as well as the GA off Thanatos. Thanatos did send it with the flash stun onto Surdy after that initial kill, but no one else was really able to get in range to follow up and put that big pressure onto Surdy. So Surdy just throws his exhaust onto the Renekton, gets a stand united, and that was enough to keep him safe in that moment. But this is the danger. Yes, Sajed is very, very strong, but Blabber with a really nice play. Caught him with a sweeper over the wall and then sees him, and on that shadow, catches him with the Impale. That is very nicely done there by Blabber, and then it's into the binding, into the Ezreal ult.
Look here, look here, look here. I hit Ziggs, I hit Ziggs, I hit Ziggs.
I'm coming.
Final two.
Shanui. Yeah, zigzag. Slowly, guys.
Carry Vayne.
I can't finish. Look.
Yeah,
High.
I have J.
Kite.
Guys, guys, wait, watch me.
Yeah, watch you.
I run away. Okay.
Yeah,
Can we try to play
we're
for
1
guys?
HP. We can't run Sully like this. So.
I do believe it was the bleed, the Quake stacks from Skarner that actually finish him off at the very end there. So nicely done from C9. Well detected from Blabber like you're talking about. Baron is back on the Rift. 36 minutes into the game. DSG still with a 5,000 gold lead as they'll still also have the Guardian Angel on their jungler. 1/3 of the cooldown has passed on Thanatos' GA for the C9 side. Seraph's Embrace available for Loki on the rise.
There is IE done now for this Vayne. Very rare to see that in pro play, but he has it completed. He is going to pump if he can get access to some of these squishy targets.
And he goes in, dives after Vulcan and Blabber, who get away with the magical journey. So no final hour available for Surdy, but Tactical, Blabber, and Vulcan all chunked by about half HP. So C9 has to back away, yield control over the topside river to DSG. But there's no Weaver's Wall, there's no final hour on the DSG side. If they try to force a Baron fight, they will not have those tools for the big showdown. As Thanatos does have to be careful yet again, trying to get away from Kryra, and call me Thanatos in some serious danger, but the kill onto Lions the other way means a 1-for-1. Now Blabber gets pushed back by the seismic shove. Call me and Kryra got to be a little bit careful here. They are on the other side of C9 as Sajed tries to step forward, throw out a couple of mines. Mega Inferno Bomb does get Vulcan incredibly low on HP. Tactical trying to survive and fight back against Kryra. It does knock off his Guardian Angel while Loki kills Call Me. Now they're going to camp the body of Kryra. They need a little bit more damage to take him down, and Blabber can't quite find it. Kryra getting away for now. It's 3 dead on the DSG side as Sajed and Call Me, both mages, are now out of the picture. C9 has everybody except for Thanatos. A TP coming in now as they are ready to reposition their Ezreal back into this scrap. Kryra's still hanging around. Blabber and Loki at low HP. Kryra may not be respecting the fact that Tactical can be here, and Tactical looking after him now, but the TP's ready to come in as Lions joins Kryra here with the Stand United. Surdy has also showed up. Tactical trying to get himself away now as Blabber and Loki secure the Baron. True Shot Barrage fired off. Will not hit a target. What an extended scuffle there.
Yeah, and Loki did such a good job in that fight. Was able to get a lot of work done as Kryra got into the backline. Him and Call Me were kind of this 2-man hit squad, but it's so problematic they don't have final hour because Vayne can never really enter the fight. So you have on the bottom side of your screen Kryra and Call Me chasing down, killing off Thanatos at the same time. Lions gets taken out, but look at Surdy. He's down about 30% HP. Surdy can never really enter. So Sajed walks up. You can see Kryra decides he's going to go in and full send it onto this backline. We're going back to live.
Okay. Blabber does get shoved here. Nice moves from Call Me and the rest of DSG. They've already found the kill onto the C9 jungler, but now Vulcan is just being peppered with bolts by Surdy. He goes forward looking for a little bit more. The shutdown on Surdy comes in from Tactical as Thanatos and Tactical are trying to fight back. DSG scrambling. The Dragon still at full HP. Health bars melting, but they're mostly C9. It's only Tactical and Thanatos left alive. Surdy the only death on DSG, but considering everyone else is so low, DSG did have to peel back, play it a little safe, but it looks like Kryra and Sajed should be able to take the Drake.
Yeah, they should be able to. I don't know why Kryra is not hitting this, though. He's just, oh, he has no smite. He's waiting for smite. He used his smite in the fight, so he's trying to actually delay to make sure he can secure it, that doesn't get stolen over the wall here. And that is exactly what Tactical is going to try to do. He has the True Shot Barrage. The smite is now up, though, and it is secured, so that's soul for DSG. Surdy got taken down, though, and this IE not really working out for him. All it is taking is 1 CC, and he just dies. He looked like he was in a position where I was honestly thinking, is this like a penta angle? He got 2 early kills, and then he gets hit by the Rune Prison, and Loki and Tactical just murder him. He gets deleted, and you have to wonder, okay, there's the QSS now coming through. You know, if that had just been a Merc instead of the IE, you know, is it a very different game? Obviously, Infinity Edge, you're going to get a lot more damage, but at the same time, all of C9's eyes are on the Vayne. And if you could just get 1 shot and 1 CC, it is very difficult to play. So now that problem is solved, but he has no flash, and there's flash on Renekton, there's flash on the Skarner as well, and they're going to be having their eyes on him. And there's also a flash on Loki.
Ooh, Sajed staying alive there. The Tempered Fate looking for him.
Cloud Soul move speed.
The Ziggs yet again. Yeah, and that Cloud Soul move speed. I mean, we talked about how, Renekton loves getting this. Vayne with Cloud Soul is a war crime in multiple countries across the globe. That character is just inescapable.
Yep.
Final hour plus Cloud Soul. So Surdy has the opportunity to do so much work here. A perfectly played team fight from Surdy. I don't think Cloud9 has anything they can say about it.
Yep. I will say, though, sometimes Cloud Soul gets the better of people, and it turns into a little drunk driving, and they get a little bit too far forward.
I could go faster.
Exactly. And still, as fast as you are, if you get hit by the CC, you can still die. He has the QSS to help keep him safe, which is going to be massive. But that being said, there are multiple forms of CC. If you get hit by the Renekton stun and then you immediately cleanse that into Ishtal's impact, into Impale, anything like that, you will still die ridiculously fast.
All right, DSG. 3,000 gold lead. Dragon Soul in pocket. C9 coming around, seeing if there's an angle to make a move here. As you're going to have Sajed TPing in to join up with the rest of the DSG squad. Surdy level 20 on the Vayne. 5,000 individual gold lead, and the tier 2 turret falls top.
I mean, level 20 is a lot, but it's crazier to me to see Vulcan level 17.
Yeah,
supports
that's
almost maxed out on levels is wild. That is not something that you see very often. Of course, you're not really scaling incredibly well with levels as Bard, but you're going to be a lot tankier than you would otherwise suspect. And he is going to be looking to make those plays. We can see that the Knight's Vow has been picked up here by Lions, and you have to assume that it is going to be on Surdy, and it is in fact on Surdy.
Okay.
He is the one to protect. He is the one to play around.
All right, that's the plan for DSG. You must enable the Vayne. You must revolve around the Vayne. Vayne is the sun. You are but planets in Vayne's galaxy. Make sure the sun shines bright, and you'll find yourself your first game win of Summer Split. 1.5 minutes until Baron spawns. 3 minutes until the Elder Dragon shows up. It's going to be one of those types of games. Isaiah, we were talking in game number 1 about how crazy it is that it ended in 23 minutes, that it ended as quickly as it did. But now here in game number 2, it's just about 43 minutes on the clock, and we are not done yet.
And the other thing to remember is Surdy, you know, he's not playing Legend Bloodline. He is playing Legend of Alacrity, so he has very little lifesteal. He does have a pop right now, so he does have that Elixir of Wrath, which is, you know, going to give him, you know, some lifesteal there. But Surdy, if he gets tagged by any poke, it is actually really problematic because it's not like he's sitting on a BT. It's not like he has really anything as far as that sustain is concerned. So as powerful as he is, every Mystic shot matters. You have got to be dodging. And Tactical is on a true 7 items. Again, a bit of a rarity here, but this game has gone on for a long time.
Yeah.
Sajed still with some room to grow. I mean, Surdy's up 4.8k, but Tactical's up 5k. And he is ridiculously strong at this point in the game. Thanatos has his GA ready, there's Zhonya's ready, so there's a lot of tools here. This next fight is going to be so explosive.
I always laugh so much at Shojin Endless Hunger Ezreal. Hold on now, Blabber gets hit with a show up yet again. Kryber diving in after Tactical, has to shift out of the way of the Mega Inferno Bomb as Blabber barely survives with 200 HP left. Now Lions could be soaking some damage as Loki's nearly killed off by Surdy. One more bolt in the air, finds him, Surdy's got the kill. Tactical goes over the wall and stays alive for now as Kryber wants to chase, but he won't quite be able to finish the job. Thanatos and Vulcan trying to scatter and get themselves away as DSG looks for even more. Surdy might be dead, but he's traded for Loki. Can't believe that is only a 1-for-1 after everything settles. Vulcan's still trying to get away. He's got the dead man's plate. Lions wants to stop him, gets the taunt. Vulcan immediately ready with the self-Mikhails, just walks away from it. All right, not enough of a convincing result one way or the other for either side to head to Baron, and everybody goes back to their corners.
I low-key wonder if Surdy's QSS was on the wrong keybind, because his QSS was very late. And it came in very late there, and he just dies. And Tactical with some heroics takes him out with that final Q here and survive with all his lifesteal. Tactical is just playing insane.
Well, now he's got to do it again. Thanatos nearly killed off here with the Baron Pit, is hit with the Satchel, forced into the Resurrection here with Guardian Angel. No real value here out of the Cosmic Binding just yet. Lions in the middle of everybody. Mega Inferno Bomb over the top, and Sajed's got the first kill. Kryra nearly falls. He at least loses Guardian Angel. But now C9's backing away again. Blabber gonna get shot down again. DSG are doing it. The front line of C9 is gone, and the Baron belongs to Disguise. They're gonna take their reset and head straight to the Elder.
Exactly. The Baron is not the problem. The Elder is the issue here. With so much damage this late in the game, that is going to be very, very tough. And Tactical is getting about as much done as you could possibly ask. Proxid GA, he's kiting out. He is playing like a madman in these fights, but Blabber and Thanatos do fall down. It's a 5v3, and C9, I feel like they just got to try to back it up and delay as much as they possibly can. Hope that you can live through this double super buff. Maybe somehow, some way, go for the wave clear, but they do not have the best wave clear, and
No.
DSG has everything they need to finally go for their first game win.
This is looking good for Disguise, but it's got to be quick, it's got to be clean, it's got to be precise. You've got 2 minutes of having both super buffs active at the same time. You need to end the game now, as C9 has to dig in and prepare to defend. You can see Loki and Tactical making their recalls. Now's the time to buy elixirs. Now's the time to spend your money. It's all going to come down to, can DSG end it right here? First inhibitor going to fall right down there in bottom lane. Mid inhibitor's already exposed from earlier. Remember that. Mega Inferno Bomb flying out. It's dodged, but Kryra already gets the kill. That's the Fed Ezreal. Thanatos in the middle of everyone, trying to put the pressure on, but Sajed's still going to stay alive as Loki is executed by the Elder Dragon. Blabber gets flipped back again, and DSG, it might have took 3 weeks, but they are going to find their first game win against C9 and take us to game 3. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LCS. You're seeing a thumbs up there from Surdy, and him and the rest of Disguise have got to be feeling good. They got their first game win of Summer Split just right before this past commercial break as they took down C9. It was a long battle. Disguise did manage to have a good early game. They fumbled around the mid game, but then they managed to outfight C9 after they started fighting together with their Fed top lane Vayne. They ultimately triumphed. They bring us to a game number 3, and Loki's Rise. I told you, Isaac, at the beginning of last game.
0-9.
We were both right.
You exactly. Congratulations.
And well played to you as well,
yes.
sir.
I was right currently, but you were Doctor Strange in it. You were pulling from the future.
I was pulling the timeline where that's where it went. But
like,
hey,
brother, he's only played 8 games. How could he be 0-9? And you're just like,
I know. But now this really is Disguised's chance to imagine. We were talking at the end of last game how it's got to feel good and be like a jolt of confidence for these guys to get your first game win against C9 after having opportunities and failing to clutch in the previous 2 weeks. If you actually beat C9 in a best of 3, especially considering the state of how these single round robin best of 3 phases work, where it's the top 6 that go to playoffs, bottom 2 don't, I think most people probably have Dignitas, Disguised, and Shopify in the bottom 3, right? So that means that if you can take down one of these top teams, that's going to give you a marked edge over the other competition that's down there in danger of not making playoffs.
It's absolutely true. And I ran into Surdy in the hallway when I was walking back, and I was like, wow, you got some confidence not flashing at mid lane, you know, dodging the Tempered Fate and the Binding. He's like, yeah, that's why you take the move speed chart. And so he was saying, you know, he was playing...
Wait, Surdy or Sajed?
Excuse me, Sajed. Did
Okay.
I say Surdy? Yeah, Sajed. And so he was saying that, you know, he's taking the extra move speed, and he was crediting that with being able to sidestep it. So definitely have the
how
confidence.
close it was?
It was very close. The Tempered Fate looked like it was touching his character.
Exactly. So if he loses the 3% or whatever move speed is on that shard,
Yep.
maybe you're too close.
Yeah.
Maybe he's unironically cooking right now.
I'm like,
but
respect. If that's legit, what gave you the confidence to not flash, and you were correct?
hey,
Respect.
Well played. Well
Yes.
played to you.
GG,
All right.
well played.
Our definitive game now, though. C9 have elected last pick. DSG are playing from blue side. Akali, Camille, Ambessa banned out by DSG. They don't want to deal with divers. Over on the C9 side, it's Jace, Nocturne, and Syndra on the ban list, as Victor was the first pick here for Disguise. Going to put that one into the bottom lane most likely.
Yeah.
C9's response, power duo bottom lane. Caitlyn Karma, be prepared to be making out with your turret if you're laning against this. You are not getting away from that thing.
Yeah, it is definitely a difficult duo to lane into. But that being said, once Victor gets some levels, once Victor gets Lost Chapter, he's going to be killing minions, and it's going to make it a lot more difficult for Caitlyn to actually do what Caitlyn does, which is access that tower, farm plates, and accelerate the game. I will also say the blind Cassante here for Surdy is a pretty big step away from, I think, what has gotten success for DSG, even in the games that they were actually creating advantages. I think back to his Abessa, I think to the Vayne this game. So I do find it a little bit surprising that after you take a game where he gets counterpick and he gets range top, you go the polar opposite of blind pick tank. And this Poppy could go both jungle or even top, because it's a pretty good matchup against Cassante as well, because once you hit Pathmaker, you can't cancel Pathmaker. So Poppy presses W, you are getting stunned as you come out of that. It's just happening.
Right, exactly. Pathmaker prevents CC while it's charging. As soon as he dashes, he's no longer...
Exactly.
He's now doing the path, not the maker part.
Exactly.
So,
you're unstoppable while you are making, not while you are pathing.
Not while you are pathing,
yes.
Correct. There's a critical divide here in the middle of the word. But I really do like the Poppy against Rel as well, because Rel's crash down is so slow. If Poppy's got steadfast presence, it's so easy to stop Rel from doing the type of engages that can normally result in a lot of success. So I really love the Poppy pick here from the C9 side. Second half of the draft starting up now, though, as Jin is banned out by C9, and it's Lock removed again by DSG.
Wow. So I wonder if this is going to be a jungle Poppy then, and if that is a matchup that Blabber is just looking to avoid. Kryra did bring out the Nefiri, but Kha'Zix is obviously a little bit further as far as down that tier list. We do see Kha'Zix from time to time, but as far as pro play is concerned, only 2 picks so far this split really globally. So it is not a popular one. Must be something that they are seeing in scrims. Locke as well as Yone going to get banned out. So 2 of these really powerful playmaking mid laners there that are available for Loki. And with this Aatrox, if it does get locked in, we are then 90% chance saying that is going to be a top lane Aatrox, and that would be a jungle Poppy. Though, of course, there is still the possibility they can go both ways, but that is kind of what I would be betting on.
Okay, so we'll see how those two want to shape up. We are expecting, of course, last pick of the draft to be the mid lane here for C9. They want all possible information from the disguised composition before they decide on Loki's pick. You already mentioned back in game number 1's draft how Kai'Sa has become more of a meta staple these days, much more popular pick. Disguised is going to hover that for a while, but they ultimately don't lock it in, instead opting for the Trundle, something like Poppy that has so much resistances. Subjugate feels great for Trundle to use. Plus, since none of Trundle's power budget for his kit is in any sort of mobility or dashing, Poppy doesn't get any value out of the steadfast presence. Final pick for DSG, a Nibby.
There you go. Can't stop my dashes, I'm just going to walk quickly.
Easy.
The name of the game for Trundle.
Ain't skipping leg day.
Exactly.
He's walking.
It's just like he's a speed walker,
Yeah.
He's got the helmet on and everything. He's ready to go.
Yep. Always got to have at least one
foot on the ground.
Firmly planted.
1 foot on the ground at all times.
No cheating the rules. I remember that episode of Malcolm in the Middle. As Silas is the final pick of the draft here for C9. So looking at what he has to steal away, you've got Magnet Storms, you've got Arcane Storms, you've got Glacial Storms, you've got 3 different kinds of storms for Silas to steal out, plus the Subjugate helps make him a lot more difficult to kill.
Yeah, and I mean, you can Subjugate the Cassante, right? So that is going to be quite nice, is if you can steal that away and then Subjugate onto Surdy before he goes all out, that can be potentially pretty strong.
Or, okay, stay with me here.
Subjugate the subjugated Trundle.
Right, Trundle subjugates Poppy and steals a bunch of Poppy stats. But then you subjugate Trundle and steal Poppy's stats. So now you're stealing from your own teammate, which
is
all
what
of us have
every League of
wanted
Legends
to
player
do
wants
at
to
some
do.
point or another while playing ladder games. So he's really just living his best League of Legends life.
Yep. So if Blabber comes and takes a cannon or, takes a kill, you're getting it back.
Yeah.
One way or another.
I'm getting that gold.
Exactly. I will be taking that gold from you. That being said, a lot of the other ults kind of suck. For
the Storm? You're not down with the Storms? Magnet, Glacial,
the Glacial
Arcane?
Storm feels not that good. I think Magnet Storm is okay. Magnet Storm can kind of create some chaos, and, I just feel like Magnet Storm is more about the setup for the Shattering Strike and for the Crash Down and for all these tools than it is about the initial use itself. The Victor ult is always fine, but there's nothing in this game that makes me go, wow, this is a good Sylas game, right? There's no Ahri, there's no Alistar, there's no super powerful tool, I think, that you have to be really, really afraid of on the other side. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. I mean, I don't think they're horrible by any means. They're just fine AoE ultimates for a team fight. But Subjugate is going to be the interesting one to see if he can get that and get some really good value.
All right. Also want to see how Tactical and Vulcan do with laying on the early oppressive laning here with the Caitlyn and the Karma combo. You and I were talking even after the previous game ended. Tactical was having an awesome individual performance in game number 2, even if C9 does end up ultimately losing the game as a team. So I feel like he's pretty warmed up. He's locked and loaded here for this third one.
He absolutely is.
Ooh, Lions even tries to go in for the crash down, but Tactical's got the confidence just to step back away from it as Lions loses over half his HP walking back from that.
Yeah, that is pretty tough. And Lions, we'll see if he actually completes this recall and goes back to base. He lost his heal there, lost the pot, and now has to recall as well. So that is a really bad start. A lot of times in these matchups as Rel, when you are getting pushed in, what you actually do is you save the crash down to just be able to actually have that HP shield to just Targon's execute minions, right? To just absorb poke. And when you use it aggressively like that and it does not work out, you are going to get pummeled. I mean, Karma and Caitlyn are going to stand between you and the minions at level 1s you can't even approach, and then lost a lot of health there. So Sajed, sure, there's a lot of minions to actually be able to farm up as they push in, but has not really had access to any of them. And not all the minions are going to walk in at perfect health points where you can actually farm them under your tower. You are going to be losing minions here. So this is a bit tough already for DSG.
And you saw on the side of your screen there, Tactical career 11-2 on Caitlyn and has not lost a game with a pick since 2020. Now, granted, most of his time since then has been spent in the Tier 2 ecosystem. You're not going to have the same level of opponents in there, but still, not having lost on a champ for 6 years feels pretty good in this game 3.
Yeah, no kidding. That is very impressive stuff there from Tactical. He has also used both his potions, though. Sajed obviously taking the worst end of these trades, but has been getting some lasers back onto Tactical to try to slowly whittle him down. And Loki has just been going for these aggressive trades, but Calmy is handling this really well.
Yeah, sidestepping the abduct there at the very end, too. Hits him with another Frostbite. But considering Calmy is almost out of mana, even though Flash Frost comes back up now, he doesn't really have a lot of resources to work with, so everything's just going to fizzle out.
Yeah, Calmy has just been kind of anticipating as Loki is dashing in. He's always catching him with the stun, and Surdy actually taking a nice trade here.
Yeah, Surdy's doing a good job against Thanatos. Jumping forward again with another Intofo strike. Thanatos does heal up with the Deathbringer stance. Important to note here as well that Surdy on the tank has gone for the more scaling option with the Doran's Helm, whereas Thanatos wanting the Doran shield just for that extra laning power, the extra healing that'll come in from the frequent small trades these two are going to do.
Yeah, exactly. And Xante gets a lot of value out of that Doran's Helm, and so pretty standard stuff from him there. But he is doing really well in this 1v1, and this was, you know, the counter pick that was available for Thanatos, and he is now down 2 full waves. There is still minions to farm, of course, but he is pretty low, so he's not going to be guaranteed to get all of those minions by any means. This matchup does start to get a lot better for the Aatrox. You know, as you get some levels, the Q cooldown goes down, your sustain kind of continues to go up, and it can become very difficult for tanks to actually have enough damage to really threaten you. But that being said, on first reset, plus 8 CS is really nice for Surdy.
Yeah, Surdy's more than happy with this, I would have to feel like. We posed the question a little bit back in the draft of, will this work out considering Surdy's blind picking tank versus going for counter pick and matchup dominance? So far, it looks like he's getting a little bit of both. So as long as the team is playing well around him, if he manages to build a lead again, once more, that was just the huge difference in game number 2. When they were struggling, Surdy wasn't there for the proper setup for the fights. When they were popping off, it's because Surdy was able to play the way he needed to in those bigger engages.
Exactly, and my question is, you know, less about like, oh, can he survive lane or whatever. I mean, he's been great. This Thanatos is considered the best laning top laner in our league, and to be able to blind pick and be winning lane, even if it is just early, is still really, really nice. But yeah, the question is, how will they do in the team fights with Surdy not on a carry? Who's going to be able to actually step up and try to be that difference maker? And in this game, it's going to be up to Calmy and Sajed. Everyone else is just kind of there to defend them, to set them up. So it is really up to these double AP carries here to try to get something done and to be that X factor. So we're going to be looking at Sajed and Calmy to see if they can try to get this one across the finish line in some of these team fights. But that job is, of course, going to be a lot harder when you look at Sajed. He's down 18 CS in that 2v2. Is going to be made a little bit better, but it's a tough start.
Yeah, and that tough start for DSG's bottom side means a good start for the C9 bot lane duo. You could see that with the advantage, with the control they had, it was very easy to just walk up there, join Blabber from another very early first Drake take, not even 5.5 minutes into the game, and they've got that first neutral objective secured, and Tactical and Vulcan are right back in position, shoving the wave bottom side. Now, Kryra is down here. He does throw the control ward into the tri-brush, sees the Cloud9 vision there, so C9 are aware someone is lurking.
Yeah, and I mean, he was sitting by that tower for a while. I want to actually go back and check on Cloud9 vision if they ever saw him. They did. Yeah, he just completely misjudged it. He was just standing in vision there when he was on the tower. So
they already knew before the war.
Because I saw a ping, and I was thinking, okay, it's possible that they're saying he could be here, but I wanted to see if they actually saw him, and they definitely saw him. So he walked straight into vision there, did get spotted. And of course, as a result, C9 is not going to move forward and expose himself to any sort of Q flash from Lions to set up an engage or anything like that. So a little bit of time spent by Kryra, and you can see as a result, Blabber is ahead as far as the farm is concerned, but not really the biggest deal.
Yeah, Blabber on that Poppy. Still, again, want to see huge value out of the Steadfast Presence and the Keeper's Verdict. That's pretty much, that is the essence of Poppy, right? How many dashes can you stop? How big of an ejection can you get in the middle of the team fight that can skew things your way for a few seconds?
And that being said, I will say, when you complete the Sundered Sky, your first item, you actually do a lot of damage, right? So
bit of a scrapper, yeah.
It is a lot about, as you're talking about those X factors, especially as you get later on into the game. But when you first complete your Sundered Sky, if you flash, stun someone to the wall, and full combo them, they can lose like 70, 80% of their health, right? Like just from the Poppy. Yeah. And so any additional damage that comes through, you can get 100-0 play on someone like Sajed, on someone like Call Me, if they are mispositioned very easily.
And that deceptive Poppy damage is one reason why I like seeing the Trundle as the answer to it, because although Poppy can kind of catch a lot of junglers off guard, it's a lot harder to do to Trundle, who kind of just outduels almost everybody because he is a ball of stats. But yeah, level 7 on Blabber, level 6.5 here for Kryra, but still no kills on the board for either side. We do have the Void Grubs spawning here in a couple of seconds. This has been a point of conflict in both of the previous games. Remember that DSG won the Void Grub 3v3 in the previous game with a 2-0 final outcome, but it was C9 who still took the objective because DSG was not able to reset and get a favorable map state in time. This time around, nobody is rushing straight to the Grubs. Instead, we are just going to get Sajed TPing back down into the bottom lane, immediately steps on a trap with a Peacemaker into a headshot to knock off a quarter HP, but he's got that lost chapter. This is what you pointed out back in the draft. Once he's got the chapter, once he's got some levels, he can start clearing out the waves and suffering a little bit less.
He can, but I've also got to be somewhat critical of Lions. I just feel like, I mean, right from the level 1, his crashdown was so bad and cost him a lot, and then right there, he's just strafing. Sajed's not even there, so I don't even think you really have to take position to threaten that you're going to go all in. He's just strafing while they're auto-attacking. He lost 60% of his health just standing there getting auto-attacked. They're not scared of you jumping on them while Sajed is TPing back in, right? It's not like you're level 6 and you can one-shot the wave. So he just lost so much health for free. And I feel like the level 1 was pretty misplayed, and then watching that, like, yeah, you can't just stand super far back and never be in range of poke because you have to have some threat, take some space for your AP carry, but that just looked rough to me.
Now Blabber with the slam into the wall on Kryra, who flashes away from the potential follow-up there with the abduct. Kryra taking the blast cone, getting himself away as C9 tries to collapse with both solo laners, Loki and Thanatos, rotating over to try to help Blabber make the catch. Would guarantee the grubs if you kill the enemy jungler there. They aren't going to get that kill. Kryra, however, is sent packing. No flash, no ulti. C9 does have one grub already secured. Blabber moving in, goes for the tackle after Call Me, forces flash out of the DSG mid laner as well.
That is really nicely done there from Blabber. Sets up the aggressive play, is outpacing Kryra a little bit for now. And is able to trade flashes there with the threat of his soul laners coming in, then gets the flash there off of Anivia as well. And heading back down towards bot side to continue farming up. The nice thing, too, for Tactical is not only is he creating this really big advantage in that 2v2, nearly 30 CS up at this point, but he's doing it with a call. So when he gets that cash out, it's going to be even sweeter. Has a nearly 1,000 gold lead at this point, and that call is only a handful of waves away, and then he will be extending that lead that much further. And the Caitlyn definitely getting more done in the 2v2 than I expected. I thought it would look bad in the first handful of levels, but I feel like that disadvantage was made to be a lot worse thanks to what I see as some misplays from Lions.
Well, C9 will still be happy about it, that's for sure. Tactical and Vulcan just continuing to build that lead. Ace in the hole just uses an aggressive trading tool every time they've got the chance. You're saying, okay, Lions is over clearing a ward. He won't be able to block the bullet. We're just going to make sure that we deliver that directly into the health bar of Sajed. We're delivering Dardoch directly back into the LCS tomorrow, so don't miss that. It's not a typo on your screen. Dardoch versus Armeo in the year of our Lord 2026. We're bringing it back, time machine style. But we still have to get there, and we still have plenty of game to play today before we do. Sundered Sky completed. MasterCard power spike there for Blabber's Poppy. You were already talking about this a little bit earlier. All of a sudden, this supportive, facilitatory, team player, rah-rah go team type of champion is about to apply hammers to jawline.
Yep, you can get a lot of damage done, and this time it was just that 2-for-1 grub trade. And Blabber, of course, has a cheaper item, so he's going to have that done faster than Cryer will complete his. And he's looking for Call Me, who has no flash.
Yep, the Anivia already had to use the summoner spell earlier, but since Kryra is here, he's decided he wants to try to take some of this fight. There's your Crystallize to try to block off Blabber's escape, but they will not get any kills here. So Blabber just going to walk this one away. Loki doing the same. The Keeper's Verdict, yeeting Kryra out of the fight, so DSG could not get a kill.
Exactly. It's a trade of ultimates there for the junglers, and Blabber, haven't touched on it, but he is, of course, playing Storm Raider Surge. Move speed, very powerful against Trundle, who is pretty much entirely reliant on slows. You know, he moves fast, he slows you down with the pillar, with the chomp. And so you go in, you combo, you proc the Storm Raider Surge, and then Poppy is not an auto attacker. You're not doing anything after you spend your spells, so it's time to get out of dodge.
And I think that that fits in really well with what you were talking about, the champions, deceptive damage, because when they removed Phase Rush and replaced it with Storm Raiders, and it's essentially the same thing, but now you actually have to do meaningful damage instead of just puking some useless spell on them for 45. Yep. Poppy's one of the champions that can still get pretty much the same effect because you're going to get that initial burst that you're talking about. So Poppy never really lost the rune, whereas a lot of champions feel like, yeah, I can't play this anymore.
Yep, exactly. It's made it a lot more difficult for a ton of those champions. You can see now Tactical cashed out the call, completed his role quest as well, nearly 2,000 gold ahead now in what was just an isolated 2v2. So that is really tough stuff. Sajed, I think was expecting that, he would have been able to keep that matchup a little bit closer. Of course, if you can, somehow slow him down at this point, that's something, but this is definitely a tough look in that 2v2, even though it is a range support versus a melee support. You've got to get some pretty explosive engages here from Lions to kind of make this worthwhile.
Yeah, this is a lot of pressure on him. We put that pressure on him in game number 2 as well, but remember that after we did that, he did have a couple really nice taunt engages on his Shen in that second game. He's going to have even better ones here in game 3. He is the primary engage for DSG. In order for Surdy to do it, he's got to have a crazy angle with the all-out. In order for Kryra to do it, I mean, Kryra can't really do it. He just throws the stink pillar at them, right? Blabber, slam into the wall on Call Me here, and there's half the HP from the Anivia as Loki steps forward, and Call Me is just caught in the worst spot. There's no way to get away from this. They're going to get first blood, plus waste the resurrection on the Anivia. C9 are loving that.
We're going to show this replay because that's back-to-back games that Blabber is smurfing with his sweepers. Because he was sitting in that brush outside of River that he has pink. He swept over the wall. The reason he does it is because the blue buff was recently killed by Kryra, and he knows the Anivia is going to come down and grab that blue buff. So he pops the sweeper knowing Anivia is on the way over and spots him over the wall, then repositions into that tri-brush knowing that he is no longer in it, he's not going to be spotted, and then he's waiting there in that tri-brush when the Anivia walks back through, stuns him up, sets him up. So this is just beautiful stuff. He does get spotted on the way over, so they had some inkling obviously that he was there. They should have known that he was around, but I think Call Me feels like, okay, I'm pretty safe. Rel moved over, I'm getting covered. All right, he's not here. But because he got swept over the wall while he was on that pink, you can see Call Me even expects that he's still on that pink. He's in that brush. He's like, I just walked through this. But he does not know that he was swept by Blabber, and then Blabber just avoids the vision there, gets in the right spot.
Oh, sorry, I took it. I got scared. I don't know why.
It's all right, Blabber. You're going to be forgiven for that one because I agree wholeheartedly, Azil. The setup for that, beautiful from Blabber. A game that had no kills until 14 minutes, and the first one feels like it's going a long way.
And we talked about this. Blabber, you steal that from Loki. Loki's going to be getting it back because of the subjugation chain.
The subjugation station. Yes,
exactly.
sir. The train's got to make a couple of stops to get there, so we'll see.
Cryra's going to subjugate Blabber, and then Loki's going to subjugate Cryra, and he's going to take that gold back from Blabber.
Exactly. Loki's getting paid one way or the other. He is invested, as now DSG are investing in this Rift Herald take. The Scuttle Crab is already secured by C9 ahead of time. TP's coming in from the C9 side. Everybody's ready to fight here. Lions in the middle of everyone. Tactical getting locked up. Flashes back over the wall, staying alive for now. Cryra trying to escape. Thanatos ready with a flash. Q3. Cryra's already dead. Lions will follow. Loki takes him out with a stolen all-out. And C9, it's a 2-for-0 fight. They're going to earn themselves the Herald. They've already got 2 Drakes. The third Drake's spawning in 15 seconds. They're 4,000 gold ahead. And DSG's hopes are turned to ash.
Yeah, this game is out of hand at this point. They have the teleport coming in from Aatrox, and look at how Blabber plays this. I mean, great, Lions goes in, but no one can follow up on that. How's anyone supposed to walk in? Loki is between Sajed and the follow-up. The Anivia gets knocked out. The Trundle gets just burst down by the Poppy and the Aatrox, and it was an angle that Lions saw, but it's not one that his teammates could do anything about. And now 4,000 gold lead. We're almost on Soul Point, and it is Hex Tech Soul. Lion's gonna go in behind him, but I just don't see the angle.
Yeah, it's looking pretty tough. Loki also stealing away the Subjugate, and there's Soul Point secured. Not even 17 minutes into the game, and they're up over 4,000, means
and
that...
Mid's dead too now.
Yeah, like 5 minutes from now, when you have to answer that fight in neutral territory around the Dragon Soul, if C9's up 5,000 gold at 22 minutes, what do you even do as Disguised?
Probably lose.
Probably
and then
lose.
say, hey, at least we got a game.
Yeah,
We're
at least
on the
you got a
board.
game. At least you're doing all right. At least you're perhaps one step closer to going to the Gas South Arena on October 3rd and 4th in Atlanta for the
transition.
LCS Finals. Yes, sir. But that is still a long road for them to go to. They're not as blessed as you in the audience. You can scan that QR code and get your tickets right now. The team's got to earn those tickets. They got to earn that spot. And for DSG, it's looking more and more difficult as the clock marches forward here in this third game against C9. I'm trying to look at the scoreboard. You've got one individual lane that is not behind. It's Surdy. He's up 100 gold. But then you look at the other side. Blabber's 1,500 ahead. Tactical 2K up over Sajed on the Victor. It's a straight vertical wall to have to climb.
Yeah, it is pretty brutal, not gonna lie. And Surdy, he was blind picked as well, right? He's blind picked a tank, and he is winning out in that 1v1. It's a slight advantage, but he's played it really well. I mean, he's still up 10 CS at this point. It just doesn't feel like it matters at all. Blabber is miles ahead. Bot lane has been a disaster from the word go. And you just took that first team fight after losing all the objectives. You got destroyed in that team fight. And when you're already that far behind, it kind of feels like you really need to make it work, because Lions wasn't able to contribute anything in the 2v2. And so when you go for that flash engage, like, it's got to be perfect, right? You've got to be able to get something. They're going to look for Loki, but I don't even know if they have the damage.
I don't think they do with only the 2 of them, because of how powerful Kingslayer is with the Vamp, because of the fact that Loki, here in 5 seconds, will also be able to steal Subjugate. Again, I believe the timer will allow him to do it. You could see that Sajed was walking over thinking about maybe reinforcing, but instead he steps back, takes his recall. He does have his second fully completed item with the Leandry, so Sajed double burn ready to go. Call Me also here in under 2 minutes is going to hit his 10-stack Rod of Ages power spike, so maybe just a glimmer of a glimpse of hope here for DSG, but it's still tough.
Yeah, it is really, really tough. And Blabber, because of all of that gold he has picked up, I mean, he's 40 CS ahead, he's gotten the kill. He already has a Kayn and Crooker, right? And it is double AP carries. Sure, there is the Subjugate to make things a little bit easier, but this is still a ridiculously tanky Poppy at this point in the game to deal with. And Tactical has had his Hex Optics for a very long time. Now he has the IE, has a Crit Cloak on top. The Caitlyn is getting towards that 3-item power spike, where I always feel like Caitlyn just becomes a complete menace, and it gets really, really tough to deal with.
Okay, meanwhile, what else is tough to deal with? A Poppy constantly sitting in your jungle. Anytime somebody tries to walk through here, they get slammed into the wall, hit with the Hammer Shock. And now Cryra, he's slammed into the wall, hit with the Hammer Shock.
Minus FHP.
Yep, not feeling great about that one. Vulcan and Tactical stepping forward. Keeper's verdict for the quick CC. And Cryra's not going anywhere. They can give the kill over to Tactical. Nice and easy. Abscond abduct with Loki stealing away the Magnet Storm. Trying to find something else on the back end of this. Sajed loses a chunk. He loses his flash. He stays alive for now, but it's 20 minutes on the clock. The enemy jungler is dead for 20 seconds. So Baron is alive. C9 is going to secure this topside Scuttle Crab. They aren't going to pressure towards the Baron itself just yet. You know, 2026 Baron, it's not worth a whole lot. It's not worth potentially throwing the game for. So instead, just going to keep pressure on the lanes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could go for Baron, and I think they would probably get it, but it's just not really worth it because you're thinking about how do we lose this game, and it's probably a Baron throw, right?
Yep.
You have Dragon Soul available in 1 minute. You should just be resetting, getting vision around there. You can already see they have 4 or 5 wards in that area in enemy jungle, as well as in the river. And DSG have got to get out there and reclaim some of this space because if C9 get there with the 6,000 gold lead, set up their trap line, and are there waiting for you to walk in, it is going to be such a long shot to be able to actually make a fight happen, and to even get in and deny this is going to be tough.
Okay, Blabber again with those sweepers, keeping track of who's nearby. Did see the silhouette in that enemy jungle. DSG, they know that they don't have any chance if they're not here first. Surdy's already clearing out some of the control wards. DSG wants to be ready to fight for this, but that's your jungler having to flash over the wall, drop the subjugate defensively. Kryra healing up on the backside of the fight, but now Surdy and Lions are in the middle of everything. Lions has already lost 3/4 of his health as Surdy gets tackled. No collision with the wall means Cassante is still alive for now. Gets back over the wall. Surdy staying alive, but in no condition to fight. And now the Dragon has been aggroed by C9. Loki going to interrupt the recall on Surdy's Cassante. Call Me stepping forward, trying to use the Crystallize to slow down C9. Tactical on the wrong side of the pillar, but he gets right back over with the 90 caliber net. Surdy dealing with Loki off to the side of the fight here at the same time. Kryber steps up. Objective bounty claimed by Sajed. C9 aren't going to get the soul, but DSG have already lost 2. Make it 3. Sajed and Call Me trying to hobble out of the fight, but everybody except for Call Me dies. 4 kills traded for the Dragon. C9 will take that one. Okay, for now, no problem. Make it 5 kills. The egg is wasted yet again. Ace for C9, and now they'll walk it over to Baron.
Yeah, 5 kills for the Dragon, and they're going to get Baron. They are just dominating this game at this point, and it feels like it is all falling apart here for DSG. I was even thinking further back in this replay where Surdy was trying to come around on a flank, and as he hit the Pathmaker, Call Me walled him off, and he just gets the Pathmaker straight into the Anivia wall, and it felt like one of those moments where you're playing ARAM with your friends and they're trolling you with the wall, and that was a tough start to the fight. I mean, he lost most of his health when he was looking for this angle.
Nice, we got it.
Unfortunately, we got the worst objective.
We got the worst objective in the Baron. But no, I know what you're talking about, because for all the old heads out there was a video from back in like 2010, 2011 called McLaren Anivia on YouTube. A guy named McLaren just using walls on his own team, then acting confused when they were frustrated. One of the original League of Legends trolls. He's probably out there still somewhere. I have no idea what he's doing, but he's probably building Anivia walls. That is not the ideal way for a team fight to start. It's better than this, though, because Sajed already down here in the mid lane.
He's dead.
Sajed's dead. He got hit in the head.
He's got to go to Sebed.
He's got to go to Sebed. His face is all Sered. He's not having a good time. C9.
I can keep going, but I'm resisting. I'm a mature adult.
Okay.
I can stop any time. That time is now.
It's a good thing they didn't pick Sajed to death mark them with the shuriken above their head. Okay, that's a replay.
We got to stop, or we're going to be unemployed, buddy.
Yeah, so
fired.
Yeah, we won't have any more street cred. But we got... Look, man,
this is not even a good joke.
It's a 10,000 gold lead. They've got Baron. This game is going nowhere. It's a 10-0. I'm trying to think of more Sajed name angles, because there's more of those than there are angles for DSG to come back into this game. Blabber goes for the slam onto Surdy as he tries to take the Hex Gate in here, find some sort of an angle against C9. Blabber finds another tackle right back in there. Blabber and Thanatos just whittling away at the health bar on the Cassante, while Vulcan and Tactical keep the waves crashing in bottom lane. Meanwhile, mid lane with the Enchanted Cannon minion does destroy the inhibitor turret first. C9 keeping most of the pressure down here in bottom side. as Loki continues working towards that inhibitor over in mid lane. First target going to be Kryra. Thanatos moving closer towards his allied solo laner as Call Me is shot down. No egg this time, trying to protect him. Loki gets the kill onto Sajed. Loki getting away as DSG try to get one back onto the Sylas. All out from Surdy. He can't find the damage. They're too far behind. DSG's last stand is just a flicker in the night in the face of C9's 13,000 gold lead. They'll just march it straight on to the Nexus. Not even 26 minutes in, not a single kill for DSG. C9 stomps the third game and takes the series 2-1.